December 4th, 1872. Atlantic Ocean, 700 kilometers from Gibraltar. The Spanish brig de Gratia encounters a ship sailing under full sail but moving erratically, as if drunk. Captain Morehowe orders the ships to approach. It is the Mary Celeste, a merchant vessel expected to arrive in Italy with a cargo of spirits. The ship does not respond to signals. When the sailors board the deck, they are met with absolute silence. Not a soul is on board. 10 crew members and the captain's family, his wife and 2-year-old daughter, have vanished without a trace. A half-eaten breakfast smokes on the table in the captain's cabin. The ship's log ends on November 25th. All valuables are in place, the cargo untouched. The only things missing from the ship are the lifeboats and the people. The ghost ship, with its sails raised and full provisions, became one of the greatest maritime mysteries in history. The story of the Maria Celeste is just the tip of the iceberg in the ocean of maritime mysteries. How many more ships have sailed the seas like ghosts with no one on board? Reality sometimes spins plots more thrilling than any fiction. Imagine this, a fully functional ship with untouched cargo, no signs of struggle or panic, and not a single person. Where, for heaven's sake, do the people from these ships disappear? There are dozens of such cases in maritime history. Take, for example, the Carroll A. Deering, a 4-masted schooner found off the coast of North Carolina in 1921. Breakfast was being prepared in the galley, the crew's belongings were in their places, even the ship's documents were in order, but not a single sailor. Or the Bachamo, a Canadian steamer that got stuck in the ice off Alaska in 1931. The crew abandoned the ship, believing it was doomed. But the Bachamo did not sink. For the next 38 years it drifted in the Arctic ice, regularly appearing here and there like a real ghost ship. Sailors called it the Arctic Ghost Ship. And what about the Doyita, a small ship that disappeared in the Pacific Ocean in 1955? When it was found after 5 weeks, there was no one on board, although the lifeboats remained in place. How could 25 people disappear from a ship in the middle of the ocean without any means of transport? Or take the Scottish, a sailing ship found in the Atlantic in 1922. The ship was in perfect condition, with full supplies but without a crew. The only living creatures on board were a canary and a cat. The animals survived, the people disappeared. Explanations for these mysteries range from mundane to fantastic. Pirate attacks, mass hallucinations, poisoning by toxic fumes from the cargo, sudden giant waves washing people overboard, and even alien intervention. But what if the truth is much more mundane and terrifying? What if in some cases the crews themselves abandoned the ships due to panic or superstition? Maritime life has always been steeped in superstition. One bad omen and sailors would jump overboard, preferring certain death in the unknown waves rather than on a cursed ship. Or maybe the cause is something entirely different. In the case of the Maria Celeste, one of the possible versions is related to the cargo, industrial alcohol. Perhaps due to a sudden change in pressure, several barrels burst and alcohol fumes filled the hold. The captain, fearing an explosion, could have ordered everyone to immediately abandon the ship in lifeboats. And then the stormy sea does not forgive mistakes. The lifeboat capsized, everyone died, and the Maria Celeste continued its journey as if nothing had happened. Or take the Ocean Bird Wire, a yacht found drifting near the Bahamas in 1961. All the belongings were in place, including a wallet with money on the table, but not a trace of the 3 crew members. An interesting detail, the 3 life jackets were also missing. What made people jump overboard in life jackets but without a lifeboat? Maybe someone fell overboard and the others rushed to help. Or was it all due to the Bermuda Triangle, where the incident occurred? By the way, about the Bermuda Triangle, how many ships have disappeared without a trace in that area? Cyclops, a massive coal carrier of the US Navy with 300 people on board, disappeared without a distress signal in 1918. Vitcraft, a yacht that disappeared in 1967, just a mile from the shore in a matter of minutes. Connemara Fall, a ship from which only a lifeboat with bullet holes remained. What was it? A pirate attack or something more sinister? The depths of the sea keep their secrets tighter than any safe. Every year, dozens of ships disappear without a trace in the world's oceans. Most of them are never found. They simply stop communicating and disappear as if they had never existed. Modern technologies, satellite communication, GPS beacons, none of this guarantees safety at sea. The ocean remains one of the most dangerous and unpredictable places on the planet, and perhaps the most mysterious. When Maria Celeste was discovered, it caused a sensation akin to a bomb exploding on the open sea. The ship, adrift in the vast ocean, appeared as if it had just left port. All sails were raised, the mast stood proudly, and the hull seemed to be in perfect condition. However, as the old saying goes, appearances can be deceiving. There was not a soul on board. The sight was eerie, a ship that was seemingly floating but empty, like a ghost. How could this have happened? The ship, which had not lost a single detail and looked ready for sailing, was completely deserted. The crew had vanished, leaving behind only silence that resonated in the air, like a harbinger of something ominous. There is something truly chilling about a ship continuing to exist without any life on board. Maria Celeste had no distress signals, no calls for help. It simply continued to drift, as if it were part of this sinister spectacle. This was not just a lost ship, but a symbol of the mysteries of the sea. Looking around, one could see that the ship's belongings were left behind, indicating that the crew had intended to continue their voyage. Personal items of the sailors remained in place, creating an atmosphere as if life on the ship had just paused, as if the crew had frozen in their posts for a moment. The questions that arose were unbearable. What could have driven people to leave this ship when it was in perfect condition? Fear, panic, or something else? It seems the ocean knows how to keep its secrets, and Maria Celeste became one of its most striking exhibits. It is unclear what exactly happened in the short time the ship was left unguarded. How could the crew simply disappear, leaving everything in its place? Surrounded by the vast ocean, Maria Celeste symbolized not only a mystery, but also a fear of the unknown. Anyone who saw this ship realized that it was not just a ship, but a manifestation of all maritime horrors. No assumptions could explain this anomaly. The wind whispered its secrets, but no sailor could hear them. The ocean, it seemed, laughed at attempts to solve its riddles, leaving only this solitary ghost ship on the surface. When the beach, there was no one around, only the moss-covered and rusted details that had once been part of a full-fledged maritime life. Inside the ship, in the cabins, the remaining items spoke of a life that was ordinary and familiar. Each item seemed to be a testament to their final moments. When I looked at the helm, I felt as if it still remembered the hands that had steered it. But now it was abandoned, like something left in a trance. In the captain's cabin, among the charts and scrolls, lay a compass pointing north, but no heart here beat in rhythm with the sea. A strange sensation of an invisible presence surrounded us, as if the very history of the ship was still alive, but its voice was drowned out by silence. All these details were not just remnants of life, but pieces of a puzzle that grew in the minds of those who stepped onto the deck. The boarding party, examining the surroundings, could not shake off the feeling of being watched, not from outside, but from the very soul of the ship. This feeling grew stronger, like a rising storm, and the understanding that something terrible had happened here became more apparent. Mary Celeste was not just standing in silence. It was buried under a layer of unsolved mysteries waiting to be uncovered. The silence around reminded us that reality could be stranger than any fiction. Understanding the motives behind the crew's disappearance was difficult, but one thing was clear. This ship, which seemed so innocent, hid horrors that could even unsettle the most seasoned sailors. Each step on the deck seemed to call forth the ghosts of the past, but no answers came. In this place where time had stopped, despair and fear intertwined, creating an atmosphere that left everyone with a sense of unease. Amidst these forgotten memories, we realized that Mary Celeste was not just a ship, but a symbol of unsolved mysteries that the ocean, in its silence, continued to keep. This moment, when the crew first stepped onto the deck, marked the beginning of a new chapter in the investigation of one of the most mysterious episodes in maritime history. Each step, each movement, seemed to lift a veil over what had happened on this ship, but the answers remained elusive. You continue your journey along the deck of the Mary Celeste, breathing in the salty sea air as it fills your lungs. For a moment, you swear you hear echoes of laughter and conversation, but these sounds quickly dissolve into the silence. You decide to descend into the hold, where light filters through small windows, casting soft shadows on the walls. Here, in this semi-dark space, you notice remarkable things. An unfinished cup of tea sits on a table, and nearby, neatly folded, are the personal belongings of the sailors, as if they had merely stepped out for a walk. You trace the surface of the table with your fingers, feeling the smoothness of the wood beneath your touch. Time seems to have stopped here, and each object holds its secrets. In the corner, you see a sewing machine with an unfinished piece of work. Threads are tangled and the fabric is ready for stitching, but no one has lifted the needle. This gives the impression that life here was ordinary and routine, but suddenly interrupted. You pause to examine the details. Old maps hang on the walls, dusty and forgotten, and your imagination carries you back to a time when these maps were full of life and adventure. You notice books with yellowed pages on one of the shelves, and the scent of old paper fills the air, as if they are eager to share their stories. Each item here speaks of the crew's reluctance to leave the ship. On the table, you see remnants of food, pieces of bread and uneaten fruits left as if the sailors had simply risen and walked away, unaware that this would be their last meal. You feel a slight unease at the thought that in this place of silence, traces of human life remain. You begin to realize that here, among these forgotten things, lies not only the physical reality, but also an emotional residue left by the sailors. For a moment, you feel as if you are part of this story, and your heart fills with warmth and sadness simultaneously. Each item here is not just an object, but a piece of a puzzle that paints the picture of life on the Mary Celeste. You continue exploring the cabins, and in each one, the atmosphere becomes increasingly mysterious. You feel your breath slow, and you immerse yourself in this mystical feeling where every sound becomes clearer and every rustle evokes a sense of wonder. You wonder what happened to the crew. Why did they leave everything as it was, taking nothing with them? This mystery continues to unfold in your mind like waves crashing against the shore. You try to grasp every detail to understand how life could have been so ordinary, yet so mysterious. And in this silence, among these forgotten memories, you realize that the Mary Celeste is not just a ship, but a symbol of mysteries that continue to live in these walls, waiting to be unraveled. You take a deep breath, feeling how each inhale fills you with energy, and each exhale carries away your worries and doubts. In this place where the forgotten and the unfinished intertwine with the present, you stand on the threshold of discovering something greater than just a story. You scan the space, and your attention is drawn to details that raise even more questions. You notice that the Mary Celeste is missing some key elements that could shed light on the mystery of her abandonment. The lifeboat, which could have been the only means of salvation, seems to have vanished into thin air, leaving only vague memories of the crew's intention to leave the ship. You wonder how such an important part could have disappeared. At the same time, you realize that the sextant, the instrument necessary for navigating by stars and determining one's location in the vast ocean, is also missing. How could the sailors have continued their journey without it? The chronometer, which records time and helps track long hours at sea, is also gone, leaving only confusion. These missing elements create voids in your mind, stirring a desire to understand their significance. You recall the ship's log, which might have contained the last entry from November 25th. Your imagination paints pictures of the captain recording the final events, which might have been harbingers of what was to come. What was the atmosphere on board that day? Were they calm or perhaps anxious? All these thoughts and questions create a sense in you that you are at the center of a mystery waiting to be solved. You continue to look around and notice that the rest of the cargo, including valuable spirits, remains untouched, adding to the confusion. Why did the crew leave all this behind? This creates a sense of paradox. They left everything that could have been useful for survival, but took only what could have helped them in a difficult moment. You feel the tension growing as your consciousness delves into these thoughts. Each item around you speaks of a life that was normal and peaceful, but in an instant, everything changed. You close your eyes for a moment, allowing your imagination to transport you to those distant days when the Mary Celeste was full of life, with the laughter of sailors and the sounds of the ship's work filling the space. This invisible thread connects you to the past, and you understand that each missing element is a key to the solution. You open your eyes and look around again, feeling as the mystery of this ship continues to envelop you like a light fog over calm waters. You take a deep breath, feeling as the enigma of the Mary Celeste fills you with curiosity and a desire for knowledge, while the world around you sinks into silence and peace. You feel a slight chill running down your spine as your imagination transports you to the times when Maria Celeste was alive with life. You see Captain Benjamin Briggs, a man with a wealth of experience and the ability to handle any difficulty. His confident stride and deep gaze exude calm and authority, as if he could command not only the ship, but also the fates of those under his command. You picture him with a light smile on his face, sharing stories of vast oceans with his crew as they prepare for their next voyage. Your imagination paints pictures of his family, his loving wife Sarah, who may have been eagerly awaiting his return, and his little daughter, who listened with delight to his tales of maritime adventures. These images create a warm atmosphere filled with hope and love, seemingly leaving no room for escape into the unknown. You feel a growing understanding that Captain Briggs and his crew would not have left the ship without a good reason. These seasoned sailors, each having weathered numerous storms and hardships, knew the value of life at sea and respected its caprices. You see them working in harmony as they raise the sails and hear the wind filling the space with sounds full of life. Each of them has their own story, dreams, and hopes that in this moment intertwine with life on board. You notice how these images blend into your reality, filling you with a sense of connection to those who once sailed these waters, and you wonder what could have driven them to abandon Maria Celeste. You slowly exhale, allowing yourself to be absorbed in these thoughts, feeling them fill your mind, creating an atmosphere of deep respect for those who lived and worked on this ship. You see Captain Briggs standing on the bridge, watching the horizon, his heart filled with hope for a safe return home. You can almost feel his anxiety when he discovers something is wrong. This thought makes you ponder what exactly happened on that fateful day when the crew made the decision to leave the ship, leaving behind only silence and mystery. You slowly open your eyes, returning to the present, and realize that the story of Captain Briggs and his crew is not just a collection of facts, but a whole life filled with emotions, hopes, and perhaps anxiety, which still lingers in the air around. You like a soft whisper of waves about distant adventures. You once again immerse yourself in a world of silence and mysteries, and your imagination begins to paint pictures of the last days when Maria Celeste left the port of New York. It was the 7th day of November 1872 when a light autumn breeze played with the sails and the sun's rays pierced through the clouds like sparks of hope. You feel the anticipation of new adventures in the air. The ship, majestically standing on the water, prepared for a long journey across the Atlantic Ocean. You picture the crew loading the last supplies, checking the rigging, and with full hearts, saying their goodbyes to loved ones left on the shore. Each farewell is filled with expectation and anxiety, but also with the spirit of freedom that beckons to new horizons. A gentle sea breeze embraces you, carrying with it the scent of salt and freshness, and in the distance, the blue line of the horizon begins to flicker. Your soul fills with the feeling of endless possibilities, and you feel Maria Celeste leaving the shore, leaving behind the noisy world to embark on its grand journey. Time passes, and you seem to hear the sound of waves gently embracing the ship's hull, as if lulling it to new achievements. Almost a month later, when you open your eyes again, you see another ship, De Grace, crossing the path of Maria Celeste. This encounter takes place on November 30th, when De Grace, following its course, begins to notice something unusual on the horizon. You feel the tension in the air as the captain of De Grace notices that Maria Celeste is moving without a crew, its sails billowing in the wind, but with no one on board. This sight fills you with concern and curiosity, and you realize how significant each moment is in this maritime journey. You stand on the deck of De Grace and watch as the captain and his crew, filled with determination, approach Maria Celeste. You notice their hearts beating in unison with the excitement and anxiety as they board the empty ship, searching every cabin, every corner, hoping to find answers to the questions that torment them. Your soul fills with compassion for those who once lived and worked on Maria Celeste, embarking on this journey filled with hopes and expectations. You feel the air growing heavy with unanswered mysteries, and in the silence surrounding you, you hear only the soft whisper of the waves, reminding you that every journey has its own history, filled with emotions and uncertainty. You slow your breath, allowing yourself to be immersed in these thoughts, and in that moment, you realize that Maria Celeste is not just a ship, but a symbol of human aspirations and dreams, as unpredictable and mysterious as the seas themselves. You continue your journey through the waves of history with Maria Celeste, and another theory begins to form in your mind regarding her mysterious disappearance. The theory of piracy. You can almost feel the sailors' anxiety as they search the empty ship, and at the same time, your imagination paints pictures of daring pirates trying to capture this magnificent vessel with its valuable cargo. But you also start noticing details that make you doubt this theory. How is it possible that there are no signs of struggle or flooding on board Maria Celeste? Everything seemed to have been left in a hurry, yet its valuables, including alcohol and other goods, remained untouched. Your imagination fills with questions. Could pirates resist the temptation to take the precious cargo if they had managed to capture the ship? The wind embraces you again, and a gentle wave washes over the hull of Maria Celeste, as if the ship itself is telling its story. You realize that the pirate theory becomes less likely when considering that the cargo on board was not touched. Each crate, each barrel remained in its place, which seems to contradict the notion of pirates, who usually do not leave such valuable items untouched. You watch as the sun descends below the horizon and its soft light envelops the deck, creating a play of shadows that seems to emphasize the mystery of this story. You continue to ponder the possibility that even if it were pirates, they would likely not have ignored such a valuable find. The silence around you deepens, and you once again delve into thoughts about the fact that Maria Celeste may have encountered something far more mysterious than a simple pirate attack. You feel your heart beating in sync with the waves, and in that moment, you understand that the enigma surrounding Maria Celeste was not only connected to her disappearance, but also to the dreams and hopes she carried on board. Every corner of this ship, every cabin and every crate holds stories of people who once dreamed of distant lands and new beginnings. You allow yourself to hold your breath, inhaling the atmosphere of mystery and anticipation, and in that moment you realize that even the most unlikely theories may contain a kernel of truth waiting for the right moment to be revealed. You continue to delve into the mysterious world of Maria Celeste, and your imagination begins to paint a different picture, a theory of a mutiny or rebellion. You feel as if a gentle breeze carries with it the whisper of history, and you become intrigued by the possibility of the sailors on board rebelling against their captain. You envision how this could have happened. Perhaps the tension on board reached its limit, and one of the crew members, tired of strict orders and harsh conditions, decided to rebel. However, you also notice that as captivating as this version is, it raises many questions. You close your eyes and feel the gentle waves lapping against the hull of Maria Celeste, as if inviting you to ponder. Why, if this was indeed a mutiny, are there no signs of struggle on the ship? You open your eyes and look around, noticing that everything seems as if the crew simply abandoned the ship in a hurry, but without any signs of violence or conflict. You feel your heart beating in sync with the rhythm of the sea and wonder if the sailors could have left the ship without leaving a single scratch or trace of struggle. This seems unlikely. It seems that even in the heat of a mutiny, when emotions could have overwhelmed them, there would still be signs left. A broken item, a shattered door, something indicating a conflict. But you don't see any of that. You notice the sun softly shining, casting warm hues on the deck, creating an atmosphere of tranquility that contradicts the idea of a mutiny. Your mind is filled with images. You see sailors dreaming of freedom and adventures, but you don't see their anger or desire for violence. You take a deep breath, allowing yourself to feel the aroma of salt water, and realize that every moment on this ship holds many mysteries. You again lose yourself in thought, imagining how the crew could have decided to abandon the ship for other reasons. A strong storm, fear of the unknown, or even some mysterious event that forced them to leave their posts. You wonder if they could have been affected by some natural phenomena that went unnoticed, and how this could have influenced their actions. Your imagination paints pictures of sailors standing on the deck, looking at the horizon, realizing they can't continue the journey and perhaps deciding to leave. You again catch yourself thinking that, although the theory of a mutiny is intriguing, the absence of any signs of violence makes it less likely. You feel a quiet sadness fill your heart as you realize that the ship that once sailed the vast seas has become a symbol of mystery and unspoken secrets. In this moment, as you breathe in the fresh sea air, a thought comes to you. Perhaps Maria Celeste did not simply disappear, but actually left its sailors, carrying their dreams of adventure and hopes into the endless ocean. You continue to explore the mysteries of Mary Celeste, and your imagination once again carries you into a world of riddles, this time to the idea of a sea monster or supernatural forces. You feel a gentle breeze embracing you, and in that moment, An image of a powerful creature hiding in the depths of the ocean comes to mind, ready to consume anything that dares to approach its domain. You picture how sailors could have become victims of the inexplicable. Perhaps they encountered something indescribable, an ancient entity that guards its secrets at the bottom of the sea. You ponder how legends of sea monsters such as squids or whales could be true if they were based on real encounters with something extraordinary and frightening. The sounds of the sea grow louder as you imagine waves crashing against the hull of a ship, as if they carry whispers of lost sailors recounting their encounters with this mysterious force. Your thoughts transport you to the idea that sailors might have been under the influence of some incomprehensible phenomenon. Perhaps they saw a flash of light in the water or heard strange sounds that made them abandon the ship in haste, leaving no trace. Your heart begins to beat faster with excitement as you imagine what it could have been. A massive shadow passing beneath the water, or a mirage that made them believe they had to flee. For a moment you feel like a part of this story, standing on the deck, gazing into the abyss, and your imagination paints pictures filled with mysteries and wonders. Each breath fills you with the freshness of the sea, and you realize how full of unsolved mysteries this ocean is. You delve deeper into thoughts about how mythology and reality can intertwine, creating images that remain in memory for centuries. You can imagine sailors looking at the horizon, seeing something unknown that beckoned them, and suddenly, under the pressure of fear and curiosity, they abandoned their ship, leaving it empty. Your soul feels a touch of sadness that this version of the sea monster, though captivating, remains just a theory, lacking concrete evidence. Yet there is something magical about this theory that evokes a sense of awe and a desire to learn more. You breathe in the fresh sea air and feel it filling your lungs, as if each breath brings with it stories of distant seas and their inhabitants. Your imagination carries you further, and you picture Mary Celeste becoming a victim of an unknown creature, absorbing the dreams and hopes of its sailors, carrying them into the endless expanse of the grey ocean, leaving only silence and mystery. You realize that even in the shadows of myths and legends, there is room for wonder and tranquility, and your heart fills with peace as you let these thoughts go, immersing yourself in the boundless depths of the ocean where every whisper of the waves holds its secrets. You continue to delve into the world of mysteries, and a new hypothesis about the disappearance of Maria Celeste begins to take shape in your mind, like a soft cloud floating over the ocean. You imagine the strange and inexplicable phenomena that could have occurred on board the ship, linked to natural phenomena. In your imagination, you see a scene in the hold among the barrels of alcohol, where a vapor explosion creates an invisible veil that envelops the sailors. You feel the light scent of alcohol entering your nostrils, making you ponder how something inexplicable could have happened. Perhaps it was these vapors, gathering in the confined space, that caused panic among the crew, and when they realized something was wrong, they, overcome by fear, decided to abandon the ship, leaving it to its fate. You can almost hear them talking, their voices mingling with the whisper of the waves as they struggle to leave the ship, drowning in the sea of anxiety. Your soul calms as you realize that this explanation, although remaining a theory, seems the most rational among the unproven versions, and it has something soothing about it. You reflect on how quickly the conditions on board could have changed, leading to panic, when suddenly you feel that everything around you becomes dangerous and unpredictable. In that moment, you can imagine how the excitement turns into fear, and how fear stops the sailors' hearts, forcing them to make a decision that will change their lives forever. You feel a light sadness in your heart at the thought that this moment could have been a turning point, when a close-knit crew, full of hopes and expectations, suddenly finds themselves in a situation they cannot control. You take a deep breath, absorbing the atmosphere of this thrilling moment, and understand that even scientific theories can hide many mysteries. You let your imagination flow freely, envisioning how this natural phenomenon could be more than just a coincidence, but a part of something greater than just an explanation for the ship's disappearance. Your soul finds peace as you realize that even in the world of rational explanations, there are elements of mystery, and your heart opens to smoothly transition to the next layer of this story. You hear the whisper of the waves again, and perhaps it is they who are telling you their secrets, reminding you that the true nature of the ocean will always remain a mystery to humanity. You allow yourself to let go of these thoughts, immersing yourself in a world where every moment is full of wonders, and your dreams about Maria Celeste continue to develop like soft clouds floating across the boundless sky. You feel as the world around you gradually fills with the atmosphere of the unknown, and each wave whispers to you about the eternal, unraveling mystery that envelops the history of Maria Celeste. You allow your imagination to return to this mysterious ship, which has become a symbol of disappearance and uncertainty. And in your consciousness appears the image of its silent body drifting through the vast expanses of the ocean. Comparing it with other ships, you notice how Maria Celeste stands out, as if it carries within it the shadow of a riddle that cannot be dispelled by any investigation or theory. You delve into the memories of numerous expeditions that attempted to unravel this maritime enigma, of scientific teams that spent years studying every aspect of the disappearance. Yet despite their efforts, the fate of the 10 people who once boarded the ship remains unexplained. You feel as this enigma penetrates your consciousness like a mysterious magnet, drawing your thoughts and feelings, and you realize that the history of Maria Celeste is not just a tale of a lost ship, but also of a human destiny that got lost in the boundless ocean. You can almost hear the wind whispering the names of these sailors, left in limbo as you imagine their dreams and hopes that remained in the past when they left their ship in search of salvation. This thought evokes a slight feeling of sadness and admiration. How beautiful and terrifying the unknown can be, how it connects us with stories that will never be finished. You enjoy thinking that even after decades, despite all attempts to explain what happened, Maria Celeste continues to be a symbol of mystery, inspiring countless versions and hypotheses in your imagination. You feel as this contrast between the pursuit of knowledge and eternal mystery creates a special bond between you and this historical event, as if you too have become a part of this story. Your soul fills with respect for those who once walked the deck of this ship, and you realize that their story will forever remain in the streams of time, like a lighthouse shining in the darkness, calling to adventurers and explorers. In this moment, you understand that enigmas like Maria Celeste not only attract attention, but also inspire us to seek, explore, and ask questions that may never have definitive answers. You allow yourself to linger in this feeling, letting it envelop you like a gentle sea breeze, and perhaps it is in this mystery that the true beauty of history lies, which will never be fully revealed. You allow yourself to smoothly transition to the year 1881, when the schooner Ellen Austin sailed the boundless expanses of the Atlantic Ocean like one of the lost souls wandering in the endless watery space. It seems as if the very atmosphere of that time is imbued with mystery, and you feel the history of this ship enveloping you like a fog slowly rising over the sea. The captain of the Ellen Austin was a resolute and experienced man, but the rumors surrounding his ship cause you a slight unease. You feel that something strange is beginning to happen, something that goes beyond the ordinary, as the ship confidently sails the waves. You can almost hear the wind whispering about a ship that once witnessed inexplicable events. Suddenly, another ship appears on the horizon, abandoned to its fate, and your heart stops at the thought that Ellen Austin now faces a choice. It is as if you yourself become part of the crew, feeling the tension and anticipation as the team decides to approach closer to investigate this mysterious ship. As Ellen Austin gets closer, you notice that its deck is empty and its sails gently rise in the wind, as if this ship itself awaits its savior. Your intuition tells you that it is not so simple, and you feel a chill as you realize that there is no one on board, and the silence, like a ghost, envelops everything around. This moment becomes a recurring nightmare that you cannot shake off. You notice how the crew of Ellen Austin begins to make a decision to return or to try to tow the abandoned ship. But the more you delve into this story, the clearer it becomes that every step they take becomes part of an endless cycle of mystery, as if they themselves unconsciously become part of a maritime legend. You feel your thoughts being drawn into this darkness, and you become curious about how the events will unfold. At this point, you realize that Ellen Austin is not just a ship, but a symbol of human curiosity and exploration, even in the face of uncertainty. You allow yourself to ponder how often history repeats itself, how cycles of life and death intertwine, creating their own maritime myths. Each glance at the abandoned ship fills you with a sense of unease and excitement, as if you yourself become part of this inexplicable mystery that continues in the waves of the ocean, ready to reveal its secrets to those who dare to seek them. Your intuition tells you that Ellen Austin and her crew cannot simply leave this enigma unanswered, and this feeling creates a sense of expectation in your mind as you become part of something greater than just a story about a ship lost in the boundless expanses of the ocean. You continue your journey as the Elena Austin slowly approaches the abandoned ship, which drifts in the waters of the Atlantic like a forgotten time. This vessel, despite the absence of a crew, appears as if it was just left, as if its captain and crew had only momentarily stepped off the deck to return at any moment. You feel a slight thrill as your eyes rest on the pristine white sails, still maintaining their shape, billowing in the fresh breeze like dancing ghosts beckoning you closer. You can almost feel the freshness of the sea air filling your lungs and the saltiness that envelops you as the Elena Austin approaches this mysterious object. Observing the state of the ship, you can't help but notice how it looks almost new, as if it had been under the care of attentive hands for the past few days. Despite the lack of people on board, your soul fills with curiosity, and you begin to wonder what could have happened to its crew and why they left it in such a perfect condition. You imagine the bright sunlight reflecting off its hull, creating small flashes of light that dance on the waves, inviting you into this world full of mysteries. As the Elena Austin gets closer, you can hear the soft sound of water touching the hull, creating a melody that seems to whisper to you that not everything is as simple as it seems. When you look at this ship, your imagination paints pictures of it conquering the vast seas, its sails unfurling in the wind, and its captain, like you, standing on the deck, gazing at the endless sky. Every element of this ship speaks of its past, of how it was once full of life, and now, left alone, it guards its secrets. Your thoughts carry you far, and you feel your heart beating faster with excitement and fear as the crew of the Elena Austin begins to make a decision about what to do next. You can see the sailors talking among themselves, their voices sounding like the whisper of the wind, filling the atmosphere with anticipation. With each passing moment, you feel more and more that the Elena Austin and its crew cannot leave this mystery unsolved. You perceive it as a sign, a call to action, and you take a deep breath of the salty sea air, allowing yourself to imagine what secrets might be hidden behind these old planks, as if the ocean itself is calling you to uncover its secrets. Your intuition tells you that this is not just an abandoned ship, but a part of history waiting to be rediscovered. You feel your curiosity igniting, and in that moment you understand that in this mysterious world, every wave carries the past. Every breath of wind whispers about what once was, and only those who dare to come closer can hear its voice. You allow yourself to be immersed in this atmosphere, feeling your heart beating in sync with the rhythm of the ocean, as if you have become a part of this great journey, and before you lies a whole world to explore. You stand on the deck of the Ellie Austin, watching the captain, dressed in his uniform, with a determined gaze observing the abandoned ship. The wind plays with his hair, and you notice how his eyes sparkle with excitement, as if he has witnessed something truly extraordinary. His enthusiasm fills the atmosphere like sparks ready to ignite. The captain addresses the crew, his voice confident and commanding, like the roll of thunder. He speaks of the possibility of claiming this mysterious ship, as if he wants to turn it into a trophy, a prize that will adorn the history of the Ellie Austin. You feel a growing excitement in your heart as his words about happiness and luck penetrate you, stirring a flood of emotions from which you cannot resist. The wind brings with it the scent of adventure, and you realize that this moment could be the beginning of something great. The captain explains that there is a part of the crew on the Ellie Austin ready to board the abandoned ship, to explore it and uncover what lies beyond its walls. You watch as the sailors begin to whisper to each other, their voices like music filled with hope and expectation. Each of them understands that this is not just an opportunity, but also a risk that could lead to incredible discoveries. You feel your heart beating in sync with their enthusiasm, for each of them feels the same magic when looking at the abandoned ship. The captain, knowing that this could be a turning point, speaks of the importance of acting quickly, for time could be against them. You can feel the tension rising as the crew prepares to send a small group in one of the boats to explore the mysterious ship. Excitement fills you, and you begin to imagine how this world could open up in a new light. As the boat is being prepared, you notice the enthusiasm with which the boys load the equipment, and you feel that this moment is part of something greater than just an exploration. It is a chance to touch history that is waiting to be rediscovered. You realize that this step could change everything, and your thoughts are filled with images of the crew exploring the dark corners of the abandoned ship, finding items that hold the spirit of the sea and its long history. The captain raises his hand and signals for the crew to gather. In that moment, all eyes are on him, and you feel the expectation in the air, as if the ocean itself has stopped to listen. With each passing moment, your imagination paints pictures of the crew battling their excitement as they rowed towards the abandoned ship, like a hidden treasure filled with surprises. You can almost hear the sound of the water touching the side of the boat, and its rhythm becomes a soothing melody that carries you into a world of dreams and hopes. Your thoughts carry you to the mysteries that this ship could hold and the many stories it could tell to those who dare to approach it. You feel your heart pounding with anticipation as the boat slowly moves away from the Ellie Austin, and you understand that this moment could be the beginning of something extraordinary, something that will remain in your memory forever. You continue to watch as the skiff slowly drifts away, and your heart fills with sweet anticipation as suddenly, as if by magic, a thick fog begins to roll in. It blankets everything like a soft, pristine blanket. You feel the damp, cool air enter your lungs, filling them with freshness, and your vision gradually loses its clarity. The wind, previously playful and lively, begins to intensify, and its gusts send droplets of water dancing off the surface, sparkling in the sunlight. But then, amidst this chaotic dance, a ghostly ship appears, becoming a part of the fog that swiftly envelops everything. You notice how its contours begin to blur, and at some point it simply vanishes, as if dissolving into the air. This disappearance fills you with a sense of light confusion, as if you've witnessed something beyond comprehension, something that disrupts the familiar order of things. You can almost hear the whisper of the sea, which seems to laugh at your attempt to unravel its mysteries. In this moment, you realize that the storm not only threatens, but also creates an atmosphere of mystery where each instant is filled with tension and expectation. It seems as if the sea itself quiets down to give you the chance to focus on this wondrous yet unsettling spectacle. You listen to the sounds around you, and all you can hear is the soft rustling of water, as if tuning into the rhythm of magic. Your imagination begins to paint pictures of what happened to this mysterious ship, which disappeared as suddenly as it appeared. You wonder, where did it go? Perhaps it carried away secrets that will never be revealed, or maybe it became a part of the magic of this place where sea demons play with lost souls. Your soul fills with awe as you understand that the ocean hides many secrets, and this disappearance might be just one of many stories waiting to unfold. The circumstances around you become increasingly mysterious. You feel the excitement grow as the fog gradually dissipates, and the wind once again plays with your hair. This moment, filled with uncertainty and anticipation, becomes a part of your inner journey, to which you may not have been prepared, but which draws you with irresistible force. You discover that perhaps the sky and the sea always keep their secrets, and there is a certain beauty in this, much like in life itself, where every moment can be filled with unexpected discoveries if we only allow ourselves to feel and dream. You are lost in thought, contemplating how rapidly the world around you is changing. Suddenly, as if by magic, the fog begins to dissipate, revealing new horizons. Against the backdrop of the rising sun, its rays pierce through the clouds, casting soft golden glints on the water's surface. At this moment, you notice that not far away, like a ghost, the very ship that had just vanished is reappearing. Your heart stops in surprise as you realize that there is not a soul on board. The captain and his crew, who had just been absorbed by this mysterious atmosphere, now stand in shock, staring at this drifting ship that challenges their understanding of reality. You can almost feel their inner struggle as they try to comprehend how this could happen, how a whole ship could disappear and then reappear as if nothing had happened. You look at their faces filled with bewilderment and fear, and you understand that this is not just a coincidence. It is some kind of sign, perhaps a warning that the world is full of the inexplicable and that every moment can bring a shocking revelation. The wind, which had been playing with your hair, now carries the captain's whisper as he tries to rally his crew and understand what is happening. You feel the tension rising, as if nature itself is holding its breath in anticipation of an answer. Each member of the crew exchanges glances filled with fear and confusion, and you realize that this moment could be a turning point in their lives. It seems that the waves themselves are watching this spectacle with curiosity, as if they are witnesses to something extraordinary. You feel the tension in the air as the crew decides to approach the ship, not knowing what awaits them. You can almost feel their fear of the unknown as they cautiously make their way towards this mysterious vessel that has reappeared as if it had never left. Your soul fills with awe as you realize that even in a world full of mysteries, there are moments that can change your perception of reality. The soft whisper of the sea seems to suggest that sometimes the most important thing is not the answers, but the questions we ask. And as the crew gets closer, you notice that there is still no one on board, and this again fills you with a deep sense of bewilderment. But in this bewilderment, there is also a sense of calm, as if the sea is telling you, don't rush to conclusions, let yourself feel this moment. You take a deep breath, feeling each wave bring new thoughts and emotions that fill you with a sense of wonder, as if you have become a part of something greater than just an observer. In this instant, you understand that every twist of fate, every mystery of the sea, is an invitation to explore, to dream, and perhaps one day to find answers to the questions that occupy your thoughts. You stand on the deck, buffeted by a sea breeze that carries with it a faint tang of salt and freshness. The captain, gathering all his resolve, takes a step forward and addresses his crew. His voice is confident, but you sense a slight note of anxiety beneath it. "We must find out what's happening," he says, and you see his eyes gleam with both determination and fear. The crew, gathered in a circle, exchange glances filled with resolve but also confusion. It seems as if the whisper of the sea reaching you agrees with the captain. It's time to act. You feel the air is filled with anticipation, as if the sea itself holds its breath, waiting for what will come next. The captain, having collected his thoughts, decides to send a small group aboard the mysterious ship. You watch as the crew, gripping ropes and instruments, begins to move slowly towards the schooner, which still seems motionless like a frozen painting on the silent ocean. At this moment, the wind picks up slightly and you feel it rush through your hair, bringing with it a sense of excitement and unease. The crew climbs the gangplank cautiously, each step echoing in the silence, and you can feel your own heart and breath slowing in sync with their movements. In this moment, you begin to notice how everything around you seems to still. Gentle waves touching the hull create a melody that reminds you of something greater than just physical reality. You hear one of the crew members, holding a flashlight, whisper, "What if we don't come back?" This sense of tension and fear fills you as you realize they might be on the brink of something beyond their comprehension. And when the crew finally reaches the schooner's deck, you notice something strange happening. Suddenly, as if by magic, the schooner begins to slowly dissolve into the air. You can see its contours becoming increasingly blurred, like a mist, and in that moment your heart stops. Fear grips you as you realize this is not just an optical illusion. The crew, realizing what's happening, begins to panic, but you also feel their fear mixed with wonder. Looking at their faces, you understand that their fate is being decided in this very moment. The wind intensifies as if pushing events towards their conclusion, and you feel the power of nature crashing down on you. The schooner, like a living being, begins to disappear, leaving only the soft creaking of wood and the whisper of water. "This is impossible," someone from the crew whispers, and you understand that this is not just a disappearance. It's the end, leaving only a glimmer of light and shadow on the surface of the waves. Your heart begins to beat faster and your consciousness is filled with a sense of deep disorientation. In this moment, you realize that the schooner has vanished forever, leaving behind only a mystery that might never be answered. The wind dies down and you are left to ponder what reality is and how easily it can be disrupted. You understand that in this world full of mysteries, every disappearance, every enigmatic event is a reminder that beyond our understanding, there is always something more than we can comprehend. The silence that has fallen around you fills you with a sense of deep connection to the world, which, despite its mysteries, remains beautiful and full of possibilities. You allow yourself to pause in this moment, feeling each wave bring with it new thoughts and emotions, as if inviting you to explore the unexplored depths of your own consciousness. You find yourself in silence, where even your breath becomes noticeable and tangible. Surrounding you are mysterious waters, and it seems that nature itself is listening to your inner state. At this moment, you begin to realize that this story of a ship dissolving into the air might not be just a random myth, but a part of an ancient maritime legend passed down through generations. This legend, like the soft whisper of waves, permeates the hearts of sailors and explorers, evoking both fear and awe. You feel as if images of ancient sailors sitting by a campfire on the shore, sharing their memorable tales filled with chilling adventures and mysteries, are emerging in your consciousness. Legends of sunken ships, ghosts, and unfortunate fates have always drawn attention, creating an atmosphere of mystery and intrigue. Perhaps you wonder how credible this story is. There are numerous versions, each adding its own touches to the overall picture, enhancing its allure and eeriness. You can almost hear the sailors discussing the story of the ship, its disappearance in the fog, as if the ship itself was a victim of unknown forces that rule the sea. Or perhaps it is simply a reflection of human fear of the unknown, of what lies beyond the horizon. You feel the gentle breeze bring with it the scent of the sea, and this freshness fills you with the conviction that even the most terrifying legends can be based on real events. Do real evidence exist to confirm this eerie story? Researchers and scientists from various corners of the world continue to study such mysterious cases, trying to find explanations for what happened to ships that vanished without a trace. You notice how each new piece of information they uncover adds another layer to this enigmatic story. Perhaps it is natural phenomena such as marine mirages or unusual weather conditions that can make ships appear to disappear. You feel your heart beating in sync with these thoughts as you immerse yourself in the idea that legends passed down through generations live on thanks to our ability to dream and imagine. These stories of a ship dissolving into the air become a symbol of human curiosity, the desire to explore and discover while also fearing what we cannot understand. You understand that each legend, like each wave, carries a part of truth and a part of fiction, creating a unique harmony. You allow yourself to delve deeper into this meditation, reflecting on how your own life is intertwined with these ancient myths and stories. Perhaps it is this connection to the past that makes you a part of something greater. You feel each new wave bring with it a sense of calm and confidence, immersing you in deep contemplation about what it means to be a human in a world full of mysteries, wonders, and possibilities. As you continue your journey, your consciousness begins to delve into the psychological aspect of the mystery that surrounds the tales of sunken ships and vanished sailors. With each breath you take, this aspect becomes more distinct, as if rising from the depths of your mind. The ocean is not just a vast expanse of water, it is a symbol of the boundless unknown, which can evoke both fear and awe. Recall how many people throughout history have gazed at the sea with reverence and trepidation, acknowledging its power and unpredictability. As you immerse yourself in these thoughts, you realize that the fear of the unknown is not just a rarity, but an intrinsic part of human nature. You may feel this fear intertwining with your own experiences, creating a bridge between your emotions and ancient stories. Each wave that crashes onto the shore seems to carry away small fragments of your fear, leaving only curiosity and a desire to know more. This sensation reminds you of how often people strive to explore what appears to be unattainable. The mysteries of the ocean, its vastness and its unpredictability, draw in researchers and dreamers like a magnet. You feel a new depth of understanding opening up within you, and you begin to ponder how these mysteries can reflect not only fears, but also hopes. Perhaps it is in this search for answers that the essence of human nature lies, the desire to know, to discover what lies beyond the horizon. You may notice your imagination painting pictures of ancient explorers filled with courage, setting sail despite the dangers the ocean held, seeking not only new lands but also themselves, opening new horizons not only in geography but also in the soul. As you delve into these thoughts, you understand that fear of the unknown can be not only destructive but also inspiring. You may feel a growing desire to explore and discover, and this feeling becomes increasingly vivid and palpable. This beautiful connection with the marine world, its unexplored depths and enigmas, fills you with a sense of calm and confidence. You allow yourself to let go of all preconceived fears and instead immerse yourself in an atmosphere of wonder and curiosity. The ocean becomes not just a symbol of the unknown, but a source of inspiration that drives you to new discoveries and understanding. You notice this feeling permeating every cell of your body, like a gentle breeze bringing freshness and new ideas. You may even feel your mind becoming more open to new possibilities as you realize that every mystery, every unknown phenomenon, can be a doorway to something extraordinary. And when you look at the horizon, your heart fills with joy and hope, for you understand that it is in this constant pursuit of knowledge that the true essence of human nature lies. You allow yourself to enjoy this moment, filled with profound silence and tranquility, and feel your consciousness filling with light and warmth, like sunlight breaking through the clouds. This light becomes a symbol of your inner strength and desire to explore, and you understand that even in the heart of the unknown, there is always a place for wonder and the discovery of new horizons. You continue to delve into the depths of your consciousness, and in this moment, you feel your attention shift to one of the most enigmatic stories connected to the sea, the disappearance of Carl A. Doring at Cape Hatteras. You picture the coast of North Carolina, its beautiful yet ominous landscape where the sky merges with the endless waters of the Atlantic. Each wave crashing against the shore whispers ancient secrets, keeping even the bravest explorers awake. In the early 20th century, this coast witnessed one of the darkest events ever to occur on these treacherous waters, known as the Atlantic Graveyard. The wind sweeping over the sandy dunes fills the air with a sense of anticipation and unease. You feel each gust bringing with it memories of lost ships and vanished sailors, and the stories of Doring become particularly vivid and tangible. You can almost see his yacht, Carolina, with its pristine white sails billowing in the wind as if trying to escape the embrace of this mysterious place. Carl was not just a sailor, he was an adventurer dreaming of new horizons, and his disappearance became a true mystery about which many spoke. You realize that Cape Hatteras, with its dangerous reefs and turbulent waters, has always been a place where nature demonstrates its power, and here, fear and awe intertwine. You notice how the waves crashing onto the shore become symbols not only of destructive force, but also of unending search. This cape, with its dark reputation, seems to draw attention and inspire interest, and despite all the dangers, many still dared to conquer it. With each moment spent pondering Carl A. Doring, you delve deeper into his story, imagining him setting off full of hopes and dreams, confident that he would make amazing discoveries. But at the same time, you cannot help but feel the shadow of fear that always accompanies the exploration of the unknown. The sensation of distant storms and sudden waves that could overwhelm the yacht at any moment is transmitted to you, creating a contrast between the desire for adventure and the awareness of danger. The thought of how quickly the world can change and how life can disappear in an instant fills your consciousness with a sense of awe. You notice how in this gloomy setting, an extraordinary beauty begins to emerge as nature embraces these dangerous waters with its silent majesty. Cape Hatteras, like a living organism, breathes and whispers its secrets, and you understand that in this story lies something more than just the disappearance of a man. You allow yourself to be drawn into this mystery, feeling its energy penetrate every cell of your body. And perhaps in this enigmatic disappearance of Doring lies the key to understanding human nature, its desire for knowledge and fear of the unknown. Darkness and light, life and death, hope and despair all merge into a single whole when you think about what happened in these waters. You can feel your heart beating in sync with the rhythm of the ocean, and this connection becomes deeper. You allow yourself to feel this atmosphere, full of mysteries and riddles, and realize that every story told about the sea seems to fill you with new questions and a thirst for knowledge. You continue to delve into this captivating story, and your attention shifts to the moment when the five-masted schooner Carl A. Doring was discovered. This occurred on January 31st, 1921. You imagine that winter day with a cold wind piercing the air, and a sky filled with grey clouds reflecting an atmosphere of uncertainty and anxiety. You stand on the shore feeling the cold sand beneath your feet, and in this place near the treacherous diamond shoals you see the silhouette of a ship stranded on the sand. In the distance, amidst the muffled sounds of the waves crashing against the shore, you notice how Carl A. Dyring majestically rises against the turbulent sea. Its 5-masted sails, though partially furled, still retain their elegance, like a ghost from the past, waiting for its moment. You feel the tension build as you realize that this ship appears to be in perfect condition, as if it had just left the port, yet it is completely deserted. This remarkable contradiction evokes a sense of awe and deep mystery. How could a ship full of life and hope be left to the mercy of fate? You can almost smell the fresh salt air as your imagination transports you onto the deck of this ship. You see the sea embracing it, crashing against the underwater rocks and leaving traces of its endless journeys on the deck. No sounds of human life reach you, only the soft whisper of the waves. This silence becomes piercing, and in it you feel the breath of nature watching what is happening. You notice how the masts of Dyring reach towards the sky, as if trying to touch distant stars, and their snow-white sails, covered in dust and salt, seem to tell stories of their adventures. In this moment, you lose yourself in thought about the crew that once sailed these waters with dreams of new discoveries. You realize that each wave crashing against the hull of the ship seems to whisper about losses and hopes, about the many secrets the ocean holds. This ship, left without people, becomes a part of the story that continues to live in the memory of those who know its fate. You feel your heart fill with sympathy for those who have gone, and how this story touches the deepest corners of your soul. You allow yourself to linger for a moment, to absorb the atmosphere of this place, filled with mystery and expectation, for even in the emptiness, Carl A. Dyring continues to raise questions to which there may never be answers. This ship stranded on the sand becomes a symbol not only of loss but also of hope, for in every adventure there are not only fears but also dreams of the future. You feel the world around you change, and in this moment you understand that even in silence there is a vast story waiting to be told. You are immersing yourself in this extraordinary discovery, and your perception begins to notice details that evoke even greater wonder. You observe how the sails of the Carl A. Dyring are raised as if they are reaching for the heavens, ready for a new voyage, but there is not a single boat or any trace of the crew in sight. This paradoxical scene fills you with a deep sense of unease. You imagine the wind gently rustling the sails, creating a melodious whisper that fills the space around you. Your imagination paints pictures of the sailors who once captained this yacht, and you can't help but wonder, where have they all gone? You feel the cold sea air penetrate you, and this moment becomes particularly charged. There is not a single living soul on board, only emptiness and silence, louder than the sound of the waves crashing against the hull. You can almost feel the hearts of these people beating in sync with the rhythm of the sea, dreaming of adventures and discoveries, but now all of that is just a memory. Every element, every detail on the yacht is like an old book filled with mysteries and unsolved riddles. You allow yourself to pause for a moment to realize how each sway of the yacht on the waves seems to tell you about its voyages and how it was once full of life. Your soul fills with deep respect for this vessel, for its history that it carries within. You feel the wind bringing with it the scent of the sea, mixed with the faint notes of rust and salt, imprinted with memories of countless storms and sunny days. Your hand instinctively reaches for the hull, and you feel the roughness of the wood, which, despite the passage of time, still retains warmth and strength. This yacht, left to the mercy of fate, seems to you not just a ship, but a living being that yearns to be heard. You feel your heart fill with sympathy for those who were once here, and how this story touches the deepest corners of your soul. For a moment, you even hear their voices, the sounds of laughter and friendly banter that once echoed on the deck. This scene becomes a symbol not only of loss but also of hope, for even in complete silence. Carl A. Doring continues to raise questions to which there may never be answers. You understand that each breath you take has filled this place with new life, and in this moment you truly feel connected not only to the yacht, but to nature itself, which holds within it all the secrets and histories of this world. You once again immerse yourself in the atmosphere of mystery, and another detail catches your attention, like magnets drawing you in. On the deck of the Carl A. Diring, you notice numerous small items left behind by the crew, and each one seems to whisper its own story to you. Your hand touches a copper compass, which, though it has lost its accuracy, still holds memories of countless journeys across seas and oceans. You see pots left on the galley, their surfaces covered with a thin layer of salt, and traces of cooking still visible inside. The smell of fresh seawater fills the air, and you can almost imagine the cooks on the deck preparing fragrant dishes, laughing and joking among themselves. Personal belongings of the crew are scattered around, as if left in haste. Old binoculars, slightly worn maps, and even a few books about maritime adventures that once inspired them to new feats. These items seem to be witnesses to their dreams and hopes frozen in time. Yet, despite this cozy, almost domestic chaos, you feel an emptiness, for the most important things are missing. All the ship's logs, which could have told stories of voyages, encounters with storms and starry nights, have vanished without a trace. Their pages, filled with records, navigational routes and expert observations, are now inaccessible. You feel the loss piercing you, leaving a sense of incompleteness. Where could these valuable records have gone? You realize that this question, like many others, may remain unanswered. Furthermore, you notice the absence of navigational equipment, which once served as a compass for fearless sailors. This lost equipment, like a key to their adventures, is now lost to the unknown. Finally, the anchor, which once firmly held the yacht in place, is also missing. You can picture it like a faithful guardian, keeping the ship at peace during nightly stays, but now its absence adds another layer of mystery to this story. Your soul fills with deep sadness as you realize that these lost items were not just objects, but parts of people's lives who were once part of this yacht. You pause to reflect on how life on board was filled with moments that now exist only in your imagination. Each of these lost items creates invisible threads connecting you to those who will not return. You feel your heart fill with silence, yet also with deep respect for these memories, which are preserved in this abandoned place like treasures waiting to be rediscovered. You continue to explore this mysterious place, and the name of Captain U.B. May, a man who led his crew through vast adventurous seas, surfaces in your thoughts. Your imagination paints a picture of this sailor, strong with a tanned face and piercing eyes, capable of recognizing a storm long before it arrives. You envision the captain standing on the bridge, intently watching the horizon, his heart swelling with pride for his crew, who, like him, were ready for any challenge. But suddenly, this idyll is marred by a shadow of concern. The last known events involving his crew remain shrouded in darkness. You feel a desire to learn more about what really happened. You recall that on January 28th, the ship passed by Cape Lookout Lighthouse, and the signalman on shore noticed that the crew was acting strangely. This behavior caught his attention, as the sea demands not only skill from sailors, but also inner calm. You can picture the signalman looking at the Carol A. Diring, feeling a sense of unease, as the crew, once united, now seemed lost in their own thoughts. Perhaps some inexplicable events were unfolding on board, leaving an indelible mark on all who were nearby. You feel this unease seeping into your consciousness, stirring a desire to know what happened to the crew. Each of these sailors was not just part of the crew, they were friends bound by a common goal, and now their fate is lost in the vast ocean. You pause to consider this moment. What is it like to be at sea, with waves whispering their secrets and the sky filled with a sense of something unusual? You can almost feel the wind telling you stories of how the captain and his crew, full of hope, encountered something that changed their lives forever. These reflections make you think about how important it is to remember those who risked everything in search of new horizons, and how their spirit continues to live in every corner of this abandoned ship. You immerse yourself in this thought, allowing yourself to be part of a history that will never be forgotten, even if its details have sunk into the silence of the ocean depths. You continue to delve into the mystery of the disappearance of Carl A. Dyring, and thoughts of possible piracy begin to fill your mind. Your imagination paints a scene filled with intrigue and danger as you envision the tumultuous time when the prohibition was in effect in America. This was an era when bootleggers and rum runners who smuggled illegal alcohol across the ocean became both heroes and villains. You can almost hear the sound of the waves as ships hidden in the fog slip by, laden with secret cargo and dangerous intentions. Your soul is filled with excitement at the thought that Carl A. Deering might have fallen victim to such an encounter. You picture two ships crossing paths under the night sky with its twinkling stars. Perhaps the crew of Carl A. Dyring, noticing an approaching smuggler's ship, tried to avoid a collision but were drawn into a whirlwind of adventures that led to their mysterious disappearance. You wonder why the bodies of the sailors were never found. This mystery only intensifies your excitement, for in a world filled with maritime myths and legends, such events are often shrouded in secrecy. You can almost smell the salt of the sea as the wind brings whispers of old stories filled with betrayal and courage. It's possible that the crew of Carl A. Dyring encountered not only smugglers, but something far more sinister than they could have imagined. In this silence, broken only by the sounds of the waves, you allow yourself to be drawn into a world where every rustle and every sound can tell you tales of ancient adventures. You feel as if this story of Carl A. Dyring becomes a part of your own journey, leading you into the depths of maritime mysteries. You pause again to consider how easily the victims of maritime voyages are forgotten, and how important it is to remember those who gave themselves to the sea in search of freedom and adventure. Perhaps in this silence lies not only sadness but also something magical that continues to live in the waves that gently embrace the shore. You allow yourself to feel this softness, as if the sea whispers its secrets to you. And in that moment you understand that every journey has its own story, and every lost crew leaves a trace in the vast waters. You continue to delve into the mystery of the disappearance of Carl A. Dyring, and now your thoughts turn to the theory of a mutiny that could have occurred on board. Imagine the tension brewing in the heart of this ship, amidst the clamor of conversations and the roar of the sea. You can almost feel the tension in the air as the captain and the first mate struggle to find common ground. Rumors of their disagreements gather like clouds on the horizon, foreshadowing a storm. You see the crew splitting into factions. Some support the captain, others the first mate, and in this division, misunderstanding and discontent begin to grow. Your imagination paints a picture where whispers of discontent grow louder and tension escalates into open discontent. But what puzzles you is, where are the bodies of the crew members? Why are there no signs of struggle? This thought fills you with a slight unease, as if you hear soft voices urging you to look deeper into this story. Your soul is filled with questions. Could they have left the ship of their own accord, leaving it in mysterious solitude? Or did the mutiny lead to their disappearance, like a shadow dissolving into darkness? You feel this whirlwind of questions pulling you in, making you ponder that in the lives of sailors, there might have been not just a struggle for power, but also a struggle for survival. Your imagination once again conjures up a night sea, shrouded in mist, where every sound could be a harbinger of something unusual. Perhaps the crew of Carl A. Dyring did indeed rebel, but in this rebellion, there were no victors or vanquished, only silence that enveloped their fate. You allow yourself to feel this somber moment when dreams of freedom and rebellion turned against themselves. In this state of silence and expectation, you understand that every story has many facets, and sometimes the most tangled of them hide unsolved mysteries. You can almost hear the waves whispering about this, as if the sailors themselves are telling tales of those who once sailed their expanses, leaving only shadows and enigmas. Immersing yourself in this atmosphere, you feel your imagination intertwining with reality, creating a world where every rustle could be a herald of a new discovery. You allow yourself to take a deep breath, inhaling the salty air. And in that moment, you realize that the mutiny might not have been just an act of defiance, but a reflection of deep-seated fears and hopes that dissolved into the vast waters along with the crew. You continue to explore the mysterious depths of the disappearance of Carl A. Dyring, and your attention is once again drawn to the theory of a powerful storm that could have been the cause of the tragedy. Imagine standing on the deck of this magnificent ship as dark clouds begin to gather on the horizon. The wind intensifies and its whistle grows louder, heralding the approaching storm. You can feel the sea beginning to churn, waves rising as if giant hands are reaching for you. Each raindrop falling on the deck sounds like nature's voice, inviting you to ponder. You see the sailors starting to panic, their faces contorted with fear as their cries blend with the roar of the approaching storm. Your intuition tells you that in such moments when life hangs by a thread, people can make the most unexpected decisions. But what puzzles you is this: if the storm was indeed so fierce, why are there no traces left? You feel the new questions arising in your mind. Could the sailors have tried to save themselves in lifeboats? And if so, where did they go? You can almost feel their hearts pounding in sync with the crashing waves as they leave the ship in search of salvation. Nevertheless, you realize that in this world full of dangers, abandoned lifeboats can disappear as quickly as the sailors themselves. You allow yourself to imagine the moment when the ship leaned, and fear took hold of their souls, perhaps leading them to leave Carl A. Dyring behind as the last symbol of their hope for salvation. The wind whistles in your ears and you hear the waves howling, as if telling the story of those who once fought against nature. You can picture the night when the storm rages, stars hidden behind clouds, and only the sea bears witness to this drama. But how can you explain the lack of traces on the shore? You feel a slight unease as your soul fills with questions about how quickly a person can disappear in the boundless ocean. You allow yourself to ponder that nature is not just a destroyer, but also a creator. Perhaps in that moment when the storm broke, the sailors found the strength to resist the elements, but in the end, nature proved stronger. In this struggle with the elements, where fear and courage intertwine, you feel your thoughts carried away to a world where every rustle of waves could be the last echo of the remaining lives. You understand that the elements can be not just enemies, but also mysterious allies who take people into their embrace, leaving only riddles behind. This thought fills you with a deep sense of connection to nature, its power and beauty. where every moment can be decisive. You feel your heart filled with respect for those who once fought against this force, and at the same time, you realize that in the world of the elements, even the strongest can become vulnerable, dissolving into the endless waters. You are drawn into a world of mysteries and enigmas as you once again focus on the disappearance of Carl A. Doring and its connection to the mysterious Bermuda Triangle. Imagine standing on a shore where waves gently embrace the sand and the wind whispers ancient legends of the sea. In this magical place where the sky meets the water, the story of Carl A. Doring becomes part of a broader puzzle that includes mysterious disappearances and inexplicable phenomena. You can feel a slight chill run down your spine as you realize that the ship could have fallen victim to mysterious forces at work in this area. The Bermuda Triangle, renowned for its mystical disappearances, beckons with its inaccessible secrets. You ponder how many sailors and explorers have tried to unravel this riddle, yet no clear answers have been found. This territory, where the waters of the Atlantic intersect, has become a legend, and you can almost feel the breath of history as you immerse yourself in this atmosphere. Standing at the edge of the shore, your thoughts carry you back to the past, when Carl A. Doring set sail filled with hopes and expectations. Perhaps it was here, in these mysterious waters, that the ship encountered something extraordinary. An unexpected whirlwind, an invisible current, or even something beyond explanation. Your imagination paints pictures of the sea suddenly behaving strangely, as if it itself decided to interfere in human affairs. You envision the captain and crew feeling an eerie tension in the air, panicking as they realize they are trapped in a realm where the laws of nature do not operate as they are accustomed. Every rustle, every splash of water seems like a warning that in this place where reality and mysticism intertwine, anything can happen. You can even feel your heart skip a beat as you realize that many researchers and adventurers have sought to find the solution to this enigma, but their efforts often ended in the same disappearance as the sailors themselves. This moment immerses you in a state of deep meditation, allowing you to contemplate how the sea can be both a friend and a foe. You imagine the history of Carl A. Doring becoming a symbol of endless possibilities and unexplored paths in these waters filled with wonders and dangers. You feel your imagination painting pictures of ships lost in the fog, their crews becoming part of myths passed down through generations. Perhaps it is in these waters where traditions and legends intertwine that the true magic of the sea lies. You allow yourself to ponder how the mysterious Bermuda Triangle, with its myths and reality, became a place where the disappearance of Carl A. Doring takes on new meaning. You feel this story filling your mind with new questions and reflections on what it means to be part of this great and mysterious element where every drop of water holds secrets and stories. And in that moment, you understand that even if the answers to your questions remain elusive, the very idea that there are places in the world where the boundaries of reality blur fills you with a sense of wonder and serenity. You find yourself once again on the shore where waves like tender hands caress the warm sand, and the wind continues to whisper forgotten tales filled with mysteries and enigma. In this tranquil space where the sky and sea merge into one, you begin to realize that the story of Carl A. Doring is not just a part of maritime folklore, but one of the most ominous legacies of the Atlantic. As if nature itself wants to preserve this mysterious history in its embrace, it envelops you in an atmosphere of unease and anticipation. You notice how clouds slowly drift across the sky, their light shadows dancing on the water's surface, creating an illusion of movement that reminds you of the eternal search for answers. Your soul fills with a sense that time here, in these waters, seems to have stopped, and the era of the vanished ship, Carl A. Dyring, continues to live in the shadows of the sea. You can imagine the captain and his crew, filled with hopes and ambitions, setting sail, each dreaming of a new adventure, but their fate is intertwined with ancient forces that govern this place. Your heart stops when you realize that behind every disappearance lies not only a physical disappearance, but also a deep emotional connection with those left on the shore, waiting for the return of their loved ones. It seems as if the waves themselves carry the echo of their voices, and you can almost hear their whispers as you listen to this magical place. Researchers and adventurers who have tried to unravel the mysteries of the Bermuda Triangle have left their marks on this shore, but even their efforts often resulted in new enigmas. You begin to ponder how many of them have become part of this history, disappearing into the abyss they sought to understand. Each new generation, time and again, tries to solve this puzzle, but Carl A. Dyring remains a symbol of the unsolved, like an elusive dream that always beckons with its mysteries. With each breath, you feel your body relax, and your mind fills with questions that may never find answers. This mystery, this eerie, unsolved nature, seems to wrap you in a soft blanket, allowing you to contemplate how important it is sometimes to remain in a state of uncertainty, as if that is where the true essence of our existence lies. You turn to your thoughts, letting them wander freely, like clouds on the horizon, and in that moment you understand that enigmas like Carl A. Dyring make the world more multifaceted and filled. They remind us that even in our time, there are places where the boundaries between reality and mythology blur, and in this there is something captivating. Perhaps that is why you feel such a deep interest in these stories. They contain not only facts, but also emotions, hopes, fears, and dreams. And when you allow yourself to immerse in this atmosphere, you begin to feel as if you are becoming a part of this ancient history, where every turn of the sea, every breath of the wind becomes part of a broader mosaic of human experience, where Carl A. Dyring remains an eternal reminder that the world is full of secrets waiting to be revealed. You feel your heart fill with peace as you accept this eerie but captivating legacy that continues to haunt the minds of researchers, and perhaps that is where its magic lies. You find yourself transported to the harsh yet mysterious expanses of the Arctic, where endless ice fields stretch out to the horizon like pristine white carpets covering the earth. In this frozen realm, nature reigns supreme, its elements creating an atmosphere filled with grandeur and destructive power. The wind, like an invisible sculptor, carves intricate shapes in the ice, while the cold air penetrates deep into your soul, making you feel part of this majestic, yet somber symphony. You stand at the edge of this icy abyss, and silence reigns, occasionally broken by the crackling of ice, which, like an old friend, shares its secrets with you. You feel your heart slow down, and your mind fills with the realization that this is where the journey of one of the most extraordinary ghost ships, the Bachamo, began. It was in 1931 when Bachamo set sail from its port, filled with hopes and ambitions, dreaming of conquering the boundless Arctic expanses. But in this frozen world, human desires often collide with harsh reality, and the fate of Bachamo becomes more than just a story of adventures. It is a parable about how nature can subjugate man, his dreams and intentions. You can imagine the crew, full of youthful enthusiasm and determination, setting out into the open sea, eagerly awaiting new discoveries, but soon encountering brutal conditions that challenge their boldest plans. Icebergs like towering walls surround them, and each day becomes a struggle for survival. You feel the cold seeping into every cell of your body as you picture the sailors, gritting their teeth, battling nature, trying to understand how to survive in this icy hell where each breath is filled with worry and uncertainty. You notice how in this vast white space, not only people but also their hopes are lost, as if the Arctic itself absorbs their dreams, leaving only the echo of their voices. The dark shadows of ice peaks remind you of those who once traversed these lands, hoping to find their way but remained forever lost in the gloomy depths of the boundless ice. And again you feel a quiet tremor in your heart as you realize that the story of Bachamo is not just about a ship, but about how people confront the unknown, how they seek their path in a world where the boundaries of reality blur in the whiteness of the snow. Every sound, every whistle of the wind seems to carry echoes of those distant days when Bachamo sailed the Arctic, and you can almost hear their whispers, like ghosts floating on the waves of time. You allow yourself to be immersed in this sensation, understanding that even in the most challenging conditions, when hope seems to slip away, there is room for miracles and discoveries. In this frozen world, where human ambitions clash with the unyielding power of nature, you realize that Bachamo has become a part of the great Arctic mythology, as if the ice itself preserves its story, waiting to be revealed by those who dare to explore these unyielding expanses. You continue to breathe slowly, absorbing this atmosphere, and your heart fills with quiet awe at the power of nature, its ability to create and destroy, leaving behind only mysteries waiting for their moment. You feel your imagination beginning to paint images of the majestic Bachamo, a sturdy steam-powered cargo ship that once plowed the cold waters of the Canadian Arctic coast. Built with care for reliability and durability, this vessel became a symbol of the ambitions of its era, designed for transporting furs and goods between distant ports. You can picture its powerful steam engines, embodying the strength of engineering thought, cutting through the icy expanses, raising clouds of white steam into the cold, clear sky. Bachamo was a vital link in the chain of trade, connecting people and cultures that seemed separated by vast distances and impassable ice. You feel a sense of pride for its purpose and the role it played in the lives of those dependent on its services. Each of its details, from the robust hull to the elegant deck features, bears the mark of craftsmanship and a spirit of adventure. You can almost hear the sounds that filled the space, the cracking of ice beneath the ship's bow, the whispering of wind sharing its secrets, and the hum of engines working tirelessly towards their goal. Bachamo was not just a ship, it became a symbol of human resilience, the ability to overcome difficulties and unexplored territories, no matter how harsh they might be. You feel this magnificent vessel slicing through blizzards and storms, leaving a trail of waves that dance and shatter into pieces, disappearing into the white silence. Immersing yourself in this atmosphere, you understand that Bachamo is not just a means of transport, but an entire epoch connected to the history of trade, survival, and the quest for new horizons. You can sense how its fate intertwines with the fates of those who once stepped onto its deck, creating an invisible network of connections that spans time and space. You allow yourself to be drawn into this sense of unity between humanity and nature, between dreams and reality, realizing that the life of Bachamo is not just a story about a ship, but also about the people who, despite the harsh conditions, continued to seek their path in this vast white world. In this frozen realm where every breath is an adventure, you understand that Bachamo is not just a ghost of the past, but a symbol of the eternal bond between humans and the sea, an echo of which continues to resonate in the endless expanses of the Arctic, waiting for those who dare to explore its mysteries. As the icy wind pierces your consciousness, you envision the Bachamo trapped in the vast frozen fields of Alaska's coast in October 1931. You feel the cold seeping into every cell of your body as your imagination paints a picture of the once proud ship now entangled in the icy grip of the sea. You hear the ice cracking as if nature itself is trying to free this magnificent vessel from its frozen prison. The crew, filled with worry and confusion, realizes that their faithful Bachamo is in an inescapable situation. You can sense the tension in the air as the sailors gather on deck, discussing evacuation plans, their eyes filled with hope for rescue, mixed with sadness at the thought that the ship, with which they have shared so many adventures, might be lost forever. You see the crew, feeling the weight of the moment, begin to gather their belongings, saying goodbye to the home they have known for so many years. Each detail of the ship, from its sturdy hull to the familiar mechanisms, seems alive, and you can feel Bachamo itself coming to life, pleading for help, for rescue. You realize that this is not just a ship, but a part of each sailor's destiny. In their eyes, you see a history filled with hope and dreams carried through blizzards and storms. You can almost hear the wind whispering their names, reminding them of each brave deed, each victory, each moment of joy they experienced on board. As the crew leaves the ship, you feel your senses heightening. The cold wind touches your skin, and the icy water whispers its silent presence. You understand that Bachamo is not just a ship, but a symbol of hope and resilience, continuing to live in the hearts of those who have ever known it, despite its temporary loss. You hear the deep, hollow sound of ice cracking under the weight of time, a reminder that every journey has its obstacles and trials. The crew leaving Bachamo understands that their adventure does not end here. They, like the ship, will continue to seek new horizons, new opportunities. You feel the spirit of adventure in the air, as if you yourself are becoming a part of this story. With each breath, you allow yourself to immerse in this atmosphere of expectation and uncertainty, feeling how the story of Bachamo intertwines with your own dreams and aspirations. You allow yourself to ponder that even in the most difficult moments, when everything seems lost, there is always a chance for a new beginning, for a new discovery. You feel this frozen realm filled with mysteries and adventures, inviting you to continue your exploration, opening new horizons as Bachamo once did. You understand that even as you leave it, you carry with you a piece of its grandeur, its spirit which will remain with you wherever you go. You continue to immerse yourself in the atmosphere of the icy realm, when suddenly you are overcome by an extraordinary sense of anticipation. Several days have passed, and you hear the cold wind bring with it the whisper of change. You close your eyes and imagine the crew of sailors returning to the place where Bachamo once stood, hoping that their faithful ship might still be waiting for them, ready for a new adventure. You can feel your heart pounding with excitement as they approach the ice where the ship once was, their eyes filled with worry and expectation. Your intuition tells you that something unusual has happened. You open your eyes and see the sailors' eyes widen in surprise as they discover that Bachamo is no longer in its original place. Instead, it drifts like a cloud, leaving its dark shadow behind. You feel your heart racing as you realize that this is not just a ship, but a symbol of hope that is regaining its freedom. You picture Bachamo, freed from the icy bonds, moving slowly as if feeling alive again. You can almost hear the wind whistling through its sails, reminding you of the old times when it bravely sailed the oceans. But as the crew gets closer, you notice that the ship is empty, as if it has become a place filled with memories but devoid of life. You feel a chill on your skin as you realize that most of the cargo has been removed, and Bachamo is now just a shell of its former glory. Yet there is something captivating about this empty space. You see the sunbeams pierce through the clouds, reflecting on the water's surface, creating sparkling glints as if nature itself is celebrating the ship's return to life. You imagine the crew standing on the edge of the ice, looking at this mysterious phenomenon with a mix of bewilderment and awe. You feel their hearts filled with a mix of emotions, joy that Bachamo is back on the water, and sadness that they are leaving it. In that moment, you realize that the ship has become more than just a part of their lives. It is a reflection of their own dreams and aspirations. Your perception sharpens as you watch one of the sailors cautiously approach the ship, running his hand along its hull, as if trying to reconnect with what was lost. You can almost feel the wind bring with it the scent of salty water mixed with cold air as the sailors begin to discuss what to do next. You hear their laughter, and their voices sound like music filled with hope and determination. They know that Bachamo is not just a ship, it is a part of their history, and now that it is back on the water, they are ready for new adventures. You feel the spirit of discovery in the air and understand that even in the toughest times when everything seems lost, there is always a chance for a new beginning and new horizons. You allow yourself to be drawn into this atmosphere of hope and excitement, feeling as if this journey, like your own, filled with surprises and wonders, is just beginning. You feel Bachamo becoming not just a ship, but a symbol of possibilities waiting beyond the horizon, inviting you to follow it into a world full of mysteries and adventures, where each new discovery can be the start of something extraordinary. You continue to immerse yourself in this magical journey as Bachamo appears before you once more, like a mirage returning from the depths of time. With each wave that touches its hull, you feel the history of this ship unfold before you, like the pages of an old book filled with mysteries. For decades, it has appeared and disappeared, leaving traces in the memories of sailors and researchers. You imagine the beginning of the 20th century when Bachamo first set sail, its powerful sails catching the wind as if the ocean itself whispered of upcoming discoveries. You see brave travelers gathering on the deck filled with hopes and dreams, their laughter and conversations filling the space around them like a melody. With each new year, as Bachamo sets off on another voyage, it witnesses many events, storms and calm, successes and failures. You can feel the salt, spray-kissed hull holding stories of adventures, like an ancient sage ready to share its wisdom with those who are willing to listen. In the 1930s, as the world descends into chaos, Bachamo continues its journeys, embodying human spirit's resilience. You sense the atmosphere of unity and hope on board, even in the face of difficulties, as the crew continues to believe in a better future. Time passes, and you observe Bachamo becoming a part of legend, its name a symbol of courage. In the 1950s, you can almost hear sailors discussing their plans, dreaming of distant shores and unknown lands. Each new voyage opens new horizons, and Bachamo becomes more than just a ship. It's a true friend, ready to share joy and sorrow with them. You feel its presence filling their hearts with warmth, and how they love and respect it as if it were a living being. In the 1960s, when Bachamo reappears on the horizon, you feel it coming to life again. The wind whispers to you that the ship has not yet exhausted its potential. You notice its sails like pristine clouds, filling with air, as if preparing for a new adventure. In that moment, you realize that Bachamo is not just a part of maritime routes, but a reflection of all those who have ever dreamed of freedom and travel. Each of its appearances is a reminder that there is always room for new discoveries. Even in the coldest darkness, there is hope. You can picture researchers standing on the shore, eagerly awaiting Bachamo's reappearance. Their eyes are filled with anticipation as they look at the water where the sun's rays create magical patterns. With each passing year, the ship continues its journey, and its story intertwines with the lives of those who meet it. In that moment, you understand that Bachamo is not just a ship. It's a symbol of eternal pursuit of discovery, new boundaries, and new possibilities. You allow yourself to be immersed in this atmosphere, feeling Bachamo become a part of your own journey. Perhaps it reminds you of your own dreams, of those moments when you too dreamed of distant lands and unexplored horizons. You feel inspiration filling your heart, and you realize that each appearance of Bachamo is an invitation to follow your dreams, to strive for new adventures, and to open up a world full of wonders. You feel this ship, with its rich history and endless possibilities, continuing to live in the memories of those who have crossed its path, leaving traces in their hearts and souls. You continue your journey as the winter wind begins to dance with the sails of Bachamo, as if in a dance that leads it to new shores. December 1931 becomes a significant moment in its history. You imagine a lone seal hunter wandering through the vast, icy expanses of the ocean, spotting the silhouette of Bachamo on the horizon. Snow falls softly, like feathers, and the cold air fills his lungs, giving him a sense of freshness and clarity. You can almost hear his heart beating faster. He feels a sense of excitement as he approaches this ancient ship, which, despite its age, exudes an aura of grandeur and mystery. But the weather begins to change. The wind picks up, and the sky darkens with ominous clouds, as if warning him of an impending storm. The hunter, feeling his life hang in the balance, takes a step back. He realizes that this moment is not for him. You see him, full of hope and disappointment, leaving Bachamo alone amidst the churning waves that whisper their ancient secrets.
As the storm rages around it, Bachamo stands firm, like an ancient sentinel that has witnessed everything, from naval battles to tranquil days on the horizon.
You can feel its sturdy wooden hull shudder under the force of the waves, yet it remains unyielding. Within it lie stories filled with brave sailors and their dreams. You let your imagination carry you to those moments when every sound, from the rustling of the sails to the thud of the waves against the hull, becomes a part of a symphony that tells the story of Bachamo. As you navigate through dark times when the ocean is filled with uncertainty, you understand that Bachamo has become a symbol of resilience. You can almost feel its soul as it endures this storm. It is not just a ship. It is a living entity that breathes, feels, and dreams. In this moment, you realize that even in the darkest hours, when the storm is raging, a flame of hope burns in the heart of Bachamo. You understand that each wave that touches its hull is not just a splash of water. It is a reminder that even in the most challenging conditions, there is room for survival and growth. Time passes, and you feel the wind dying down, as if the ocean itself is calming, embracing Bachamo with tenderness. You can picture the seal hunter returning to shore the next day, filled with determination and hope. He knows that Bachamo is still there, ready for new adventures. You feel his story continuing to intertwine with the destinies of those who seek their answers in the vast expanses of the sea. Perhaps in this moment, you realize that each of us, like Bachamo, faces storms in life, but resilience and hope always guide us forward to new shores and new discoveries.
Years pass, and you feel time flowing like a river, gently passing by, leaving traces of events and memories. You imagine the Eskimo hunters and trappers wandering through the vast expanses of the icy ocean, beginning to tell stories about Bachamo.
Each of them, approaching this ancient ship, finds it empty, covered in a layer of snow that shimmers in the sun like tiny stars fallen on the deck. You can almost see the wonder and awe in their eyes as they draw closer to explore its interior, immersing themselves in its history. They discover old items left by sailors, lost letters carrying dreams and hopes, and objects that speak of life on board. Each of them, opening a new chest or peering into dark corners, seems to become a part of this ancient symphony where every sound, from the creaking of wood to the soft rustling of snow, fills the atmosphere with magic. The wind, softly howling around, brings whispers of the past, and you can imagine the hunters sharing their discoveries, exchanging impressions of what once was. You notice how they, standing on the deck, ponder the fate of Bachamo, the adventures that might have befallen this ship, what it saw, and the secrets its walls hold. This connection between people and the ship becomes more than just a meeting. It transforms into a shared history where each hunter becomes a bearer of its spirit. You feel their hearts fill with respect for Bachamo, for the resilience it symbolizes, and for the journey that continues to live in their memories. Winter comes and goes, but Bachamo remains in its place like a sentinel of time, observing the changes in the world around it. You understand that this ship has become a part of local folklore, its name passed down from mouth to mouth as a legend of brave sailors and their fearless adventures.
As you delve into these stories, you feel your own imagination weaving threads that connect the past and present, creating a unique picture filled with life and emotions.
When spring arrives and the ice begins to melt, the hunters gather around Bachamo once more. You see them bring fresh flowers, placing them on the deck as a symbol of new life and hope. At that moment, your heart fills with warmth, and you realize that even abandoned and forgotten, Bachamo remains at the center of these memories, continuing to inspire those who seek adventures and new horizons. You feel its history, filled with courage and resilience, living on in each person who has ever touched its hull. And you understand that even in solitude, amidst ice and storms, this ship will always live in the hearts of those who remember it. The wind softly whispers that the story of Bachamo is not just the story of a ship, but the story of all those who want to be part of something greater than themselves. And you allow yourself to be drawn into this feeling, sensing a connection to something eternal and grand. You continue your journey through time, and now you find yourself in the year 1969. At this mysterious ship, the ice gleaming under the sun's rays seems to tell a story of how Bachamo became trapped in its icy embrace, like a sleeping giant waiting for awakening. You see scientific teams filled with hope and expectation moving across the slippery decks of their icebreakers, carefully examining every piece of ice, every crack, to find remnants of this maritime legend. You feel the tension and excitement filling the air as they receive the first signs of Bachamo, perhaps just a shadow of it, but it still evokes a sense of awe, as if they have touched something sacred. Snow crunches softly under their feet, and you hear the wind carrying away their conversations, filled with hope and curiosity. They discuss what Bachamo might have looked like in its full glory, with its sails billowing in the wind and its hull gliding over the waves like a graceful bird in the sky. You notice how their imagination paints pictures of distant voyages filled with adventures and discoveries. Each of them becomes a part of this story, finding inspiration in the legend of the ship that did not succumb to time and harsh conditions. You feel a growing desire in their hearts to learn more about its past, the secrets it holds, this frozen giant. You can almost feel the cold air piercing your lungs as you imagine researchers collecting ice samples, measuring temperature and density, while discussing theories about how Bachamo ended up here in these icy waters. Some suggest it could have been part of an expedition filled with dangers and discoveries, while others believe it might have gotten lost in the vast expanses, falling victim to the harsh elements. You understand that each of them, standing on this cold shore, becomes part of a great quest, united around a single goal: to unravel the mystery surrounding Bachamo. With the winter sun barely breaking through the clouds, you feel this time become magical. The ice fields, once seeming empty, come alive in your imagination, and you can almost see Bachamo majestically gliding across this sea, leaving a trail of white foam in its wake. Each moment becomes part of what you experience with the researchers, and you allow yourself to immerse in this atmosphere of anticipation. You notice how the ice surrounding Bachamo seems to protect it, hiding it from the world's eyes, and you realize that this hunt for the ship is not just a physical journey, but an inner process where each step is a step towards understanding not only the sea, but also human nature, striving for discovery. Researchers continue their search, and you see their hopes slowly turning into reality as they find the first traces of Bachamo. It could be a piece of wood or a fragment of sail, seemingly frozen in time. Each new element found on this cold shore brings them joy and wonder, like children discovering the world. You feel their hearts filled with inspiration, and you understand that even in the harshest conditions, like this icy realm, there is a place for miracles and discoveries. Your soul fills with peace and harmony as you realize that Bachamo is not just a ship, but a symbol of resilience and courage that continues to live in the memory of those who are willing to seek and uncover. You allow yourself to enjoy this thought, understanding that each new discovery is an opportunity to connect the past with the present, continuing the life journey of Bachamo in the hearts of those who have not forgotten its existence. You continue to delve into the history of Bachamo, and now you understand that this ship has become not just an object of study, but a genuine maritime legend. You feel how its name is filled with mystery and enchantment as you imagine sailors traversing vast expanses of water, telling tales of the Arctic ghost ship with reverence. You see it wandering across endless ice fields like a spirit of an ancient mariner, unwilling to leave its home, and this sensation envelops you like a soft silk. Each time researchers mention Bachamo, you notice how their voices resonate with awe and admiration, for this ship has become a symbol of inscrutability and invincibility, as if the very ice that has encased it protects it from time and oblivion. You can almost hear the icy winds whispering its name, passing on its legend to a new generation of adventurers. With each new discovery, Bachamo takes on more of its mythical features. You feel how its story becomes part of cultural heritage, reminding us that even the harshest conditions cannot erase the traces of human spirit. The ship that once sailed the waves may now be part of nature itself, merging with the harsh atmosphere of the Arctic, where each ice crystal seems to guard its secrets. You note
Hopeless.
You imagine how sailors of old, upon seeing Bachamo, might have spoken of its grandeur. Their stories, filled with emotion, were passed down from mouth to mouth, each adding a new detail to the myth. You can almost hear them describing its sails billowing in the wind, as if the ship itself comes alive in their tales. Each time they mention its name, they feel time stand still, and you sense that this is not just a story, but a living memory that continues to exist in the hearts of those who seek to unravel its mystery. You realize that Bachamo has become a symbol of hope and courage for many. The idea that the ship, despite all obstacles, continues to drift through icy waters inspires researchers, reminding them that even in the harshest conditions, beauty and wonder can be found. Each fragment found, each shred of sail becomes not just a discovery, but a piece of a great legacy worth preserving for future generations. You feel how this myth grows with new meanings, and in every new story about Bachamo, there is not only a tribute to its resilience, but also a reminder that each of us, like this ship, can withstand life's storms. You immerse yourself in the atmosphere of this legend when you see researchers gathering around found artifacts, discussing their significance and origin. You hear them sharing their thoughts on what Bachamo might have experienced if it could speak. You feel how their burning eyes reflect the spirit of adventure, which is itself part of this story. Each of them strives to understand how this ship became a symbol that continues to inspire even when it is lost among the icy expanses. You pause and breathe in the fresh, cold air, filled with the scent of the sea and ice. You realize that Bachamo is not just a ship or a legend, but a part of the human soul that yearns for discovery and adventure. You see how its story intertwines with your own dreams and hopes, filling you with a sense of connection to the world around you. You understand that despite all the challenges that may lie ahead, there is a place for miracles and inspiration, as there was with Bachamo, which continues to sail the waves of time, forever alive in the hearts of those who seek it. You continue to immerse yourself in the mysterious atmosphere of Bachamo, and your attention is drawn to the stories of numerous attempts to save it. You feel how each new adventure, filled with hope and determination, is shrouded in the drama of failure as researchers venture into the icy waters teeming with danger. Each time they leave the shore, you notice how their hearts fill with anticipation and dreams, but the harsh Arctic conditions, like invisible sentinels, guard the secrets of Bachamo. You imagine one of the first expeditions setting out in search of the ship in the early 20th century, as sailors full of enthusiasm embarked on their journey across the icy expanses. The wind howled in their ears, and the ice fields stretched to the horizon, and you feel how in their hearts a belief was born that they could find Bachamo. But soon they encountered the unyielding nature. Powerful blizzards and ice shields that seemed insurmountable became obstacles on their path to their dream. You can almost hear the whisper of the wind, which seems to laugh at their efforts, making them realize that they are merely guests in this harsh world. With each new season, researchers gather again, full of resolve and hope, and you feel how their passion and courage fill the air. You remember how in the middle of the 20th century, another attempt was made when a group of scientists and mountaineers set off to the Arctic, full of enthusiasm and new technologies. You feel human eyes. Your soul fills with sympathy for these adventurers as you imagine how in their hearts a sense of bitterness and loss arises after each failure. You hear their conversations filled with disappointment as they share their thoughts about how Bachamo could look and what it would be like to see it again. You notice how the icy winds whisper about its existence, creating the feeling that the ship might indeed live, but only in the imagination of those who seek it. You understand that each new discovery that researchers dream of becomes a part of their own story, and despite all the obstacles, they continue to return to the icy waters, full of hope and desire to unravel the mysteries of Bachamo. You feel how their pursuit reflects a deeper truth about human nature. Even when the path seems hopeless, there is always a desire within us to seek, to discover, and to explore. You realize that each failure is just a new page in the book where the story of Bachamo continues to unfold, leaving traces on the hearts of those who dare to go further despite the icy barriers. You feel how your thoughts smoothly flow into deep contemplation about how Bachamo has become more than just a shipwreck at the bottom of the ocean. You realize that it is not just the remnants of a ship, but a symbol of the eternal struggle of man against the untamed nature, with its caprices and mysteries that are difficult to comprehend. You imagine how the ship, lost in the icy expanses, has become a ghost wandering through the boundless Arctic waters, reminding us that despite our efforts to explore, we remain but guests in a world full of riddles. Each researcher returning to Bachamo leaves a part of themselves in these icy waters. Their dreams, hopes, and even fears become part of this story that continues despite all obstacles. You feel how the cold wind brings with it the whispers of these dreams, and the ice fields in turn guard their secrets like ancient sentinels, unwilling to share their knowledge. You ponder how, in each of us, there is a desire for exploration, for discovering new horizons, even if they are covered in ice and snow. This inner fire that drives us forward has its roots in our search for meaning in our existence, and Bachamo has become this symbol, reflecting our deepest desires and aspirations. You can almost feel the spirit of exploration in the air, and each wave crashing against the icy shores whispers about those who dared to dream. Bachamo is not just a ship lost in history. It is the embodiment of our desire to know and discover the unknown. You understand that each time researchers set out on their journey, they are not just seeking the ship, they are seeking themselves, their dreams, and their place in this vast world that sometimes seems cruel and unpredictable. This journey becomes not just physical, but also spiritual. Each step on the ice, each minute in the blizzard, becomes part of their inner journey. You feel great history that continues from generation to generation. You allow yourself to immerse in these thoughts, feeling how they envelop you like a warm blanket. And you understand that sometimes it is not just about reaching the goal, but also about appreciating the path that leads to it. Your soul fills with a sense of peace, and you allow yourself to dissolve in this state, realizing that each of your breaths is a part of this endless story about Bachamo, about the dream that will never fade. You envision vast expanses of ocean where white yachts and majestic cruise liners glide on the waves, while sunbirds soar above them, symbolizing freedom and dreams. Yet beneath this idyllic landscape lies a wealth of secrets and mystical tales about ships that vanished without a trace in these waters, leaving behind only whispers of legends and memories of brave captains and their crews. You hear the gentle breeze carrying echoes of these stories, and you become intrigued by what truly happened to those who dared to cross this mysterious boundary. The legend of the ship Captain Everett, or SS Cotopaxi, is one of the most vivid and captivating in this context. You wonder how sometimes, very rarely, such legends take on flesh, becoming something more tangible. You think about how, in the late 19th century, this steamship departing from Havana to Charleston encountered a powerful hurricane that seemed to be a concentrated burst of fury over the ocean, swallowing it into its depths. You can almost feel the wind howling around you, as if it were whispering tales of brave souls challenging fate on the seas. Your soul fills with a light apprehension as you realize that Captain Everett has become a symbol not only of loss but also of mystery, which continues to captivate the minds of researchers and history enthusiasts. With each breath, you immerse yourself deeper into this atmosphere, filling your thoughts with images of a stormy sea and endless horizons where reality meets mysticism. You feel this sense of anticipation resonating with your own desire for discovery. Every time you hear about the Bermuda Triangle, you remember that it is not just a place on the map, but a space where dreams and fears collide, where reality and fantasy intertwine in a dance that has been going on for centuries. You realize that within each of us lies a part that yearns to experience this magic, this risk, and Captain Everett becomes for you not just a ship, but a symbol of an unending quest for adventures and mysteries waiting to be uncovered. You allow yourself to linger in this thought, and each breath fills you with a sense of infinity and the possibilities that lie before you.
You continue to immerse yourself in this magical atmosphere of mysteries and adventures, and your imagination flows to a mundane event that occurred at the end of November 1925.
You picture the coal ship SS Cotopaxi leaving the port of Charleston, South Carolina, filled with coal ready for its journey to Havana. You hear the sound of the engines humming softly, as if they are excited about the upcoming voyage. Members of the crew rush across the deck, each busy with their tasks, but in their eyes, you notice sparks of hope and anticipation. You feel the warm air embracing you, carrying with it the scent of salt water and coal dust, creating a unique symphony of aromas that fills the space on board. Your soul fills with a light tremor as you realize that every journey, even the most ordinary one, can turn into something unexpected. With each breath, you sink into the moment when SS Cotopaxi begins its journey, leaving the shore behind, which gradually disappears into the distance. You can almost feel the thrill of the waves being cut by the hull of the ship and hear the water whispering its secrets in response to the ship's movement. But soon, at the very moment when you start to feel joy from the new adventure, you realize that this journey will not be just another page in the maritime history. It will become one of the many mysteries of the Bermuda Triangle when SS Cotopaxi disappears without a trace, as if it dissolves into thin air. You feel a slight sadness as you realize that this coal ship, on its way to Havana, became a part of the dark list of ships that vanished without a trace in these waters. You feel your imagination pulling you into the vast depths of the ocean, where secrets are locked away by time and the elements. With each breath, you sink deeper as you realize that the fate of SS Cotopaxi remains unsolved, like so many other vanished ships. You ponder how, over the years, researchers, sailors, and history enthusiasts have tried to unravel this mystery, but none of their explanations have brought clarity. Your soul fills with respect for these brave people who sought answers, even when the sea left them in the dark. You understand that SS Cotopaxi is not just a ship, but a symbol of endless possibilities hidden beneath the waters, like precious gems waiting to be discovered. You continue to feel this connection to history as you imagine the atmosphere of intrigue and anticipation on the ship as it disappeared, and how each member of the crew might have felt the same thrill that you do now. You allow yourself to lose yourself in these thoughts, and with each breath, you sink deeper into silence and tranquility, responding to the call of the ocean, which holds within it countless secrets and wonders. You continue to feel this profound tranquility as your imagination transports you to the unknown depths of time, where decades of obscurity have enveloped the SS Cotopaxi in a mysterious veil. You picture the moment of its disappearance as black waves of the ocean closed behind it, leaving only the faint whisper of the wind as if trying to tell the tale of the ship. Over the years, its disappearance has become a part of the myths and legends shrouded in the mysteries of the Bermuda Triangle, that enigmatic region where the sky meets the sea and where reality seems hazy. Your heart fills with a sense of awe as you realize that many researchers, sailors, and adventure enthusiasts have tried to unravel this enigma, but their efforts have only added new layers to the existing mosaic of mysteries. It is said that each wave crashing against the shore whispers the names of the lost, and you can almost hear these whispers as they penetrate your consciousness, creating an atmosphere of captivating anticipation. You imagine the old maps, records, and testimonies preserved in libraries and archives around the world, filled with hope that one day the veil over this maritime mystery will be lifted. You feel a chill run down your spine as you envision researchers embarking on dangerous expeditions, driven by courage and determination, in search of any clue about the fate of the Cotopaxi. Each breath you take is filled with a sense of mystery, as you realize that this coal ship has become more than just a vessel. It has become a symbol of all those who risked their lives in the pursuit of answers. These stories, like dewdrops in the morning sun, shimmer in your consciousness, filling it with images and sounds that you can almost feel. You allow yourself to sink into this state where each breath becomes deeper and thoughts become clearer. You wonder what happened to the crew of the Cotopaxi in that moment when the ship disappeared. Were they filled with hope or overwhelmed by fear of the unknown? These reflections lead you to understand that every loss brings not only sorrow but also the possibility for new discoveries. You allow yourself to linger in this feeling as your consciousness expands like an ocean that holds many secrets waiting for their time. You can almost feel the cold touch of the sea breeze and sense it embracing you, as if reminding you that the Cotopaxi is not just a lost ship, but a part of a broader history where human fates and elemental forces, hopes, and disappearances intertwine. You continue to breathe deeply, allowing each inhale to immerse you in this silent mystery that envelops everything, and as if the waters of the Bermuda Triangle themselves are calling you to explore their depths, where not only cargo but also dreams, hopes, and fears of those who once left the shore in search of adventure are preserved. You understand that each wave carries stories waiting to be told, and you feel your connection to this time growing deeper and more significant. You continue to delve into your thoughts when suddenly, as if emerging from the depths of time, you feel a gentle nudge that lifts you to the surface. This discovery, which shook the world in 2015, is like a ripple in the water, disturbing the stillness of a calm ocean. You imagine the researchers, filled with anticipation and excitement, announcing that they had found the wreckage of the Cotopaxi off the coast of St. Augustine, Florida. Nearly 90 years had passed since this coal ship disappeared, and now it has resurfaced like a ghost returning from the depths of oblivion. This discovery is not just wreckage, it is a part of history, a part of destiny that you can touch and feel as your consciousness delves into the details of this extraordinary find. You picture the fragments of the ship resting on the ocean floor, covered in salt and sand, each piece telling its own story. You feel the researchers' excitement transmitted to you like a firm yet gentle flow of energy, making you ponder what happened to the crew. Were they surprised when they felt their long-hidden fate finally beginning to unfold? You can hear the sound of the sea as if it is whispering its secrets that have been hidden for so long. The legend of the Cotopaxi comes to life, and you feel the waves of time and space merging, creating a bridge between the past and the present. This discovery is not just a scientific achievement, but a symbol of hope. For even after so many years, the depths of the ocean still hold answers that can change our understanding of history. Your soul fills with awe as you think about how modern technology allowed researchers to find this sunken ship, using underwater drones and specialized equipment for searching objects on the ocean floor. Your heart warms as you think about how the Cotopaxi, despite its tragic fate, continues to live in people's hearts, inspiring new generations of researchers and dreamers. You take a slow, deep breath, feeling each inhale fill you with calm and serenity as you imagine the wreckage of the Cotopaxi becoming part of stories that will be passed down from generation to generation, like the whisper of the wind carrying away our dreams and hopes. You can almost taste the salt of the sea on your lips as this extraordinary story of returning from the abyss fills your thoughts, and you understand that even the deepest mysteries can become apparent if we have the courage and determination to seek them out. You continue to breathe slowly, allowing this wondrous discovery to envelop you in its atmosphere, like a warm blanket that embraces you as you dive into a world of stories where each wave carries the whisper of the past, and each discovery opens new
horizons of understanding.
The wreckage of the ship known as the Bear Wreck was first discovered in the late 1980s. However, it was not until 2015 that maritime archaeologist Michael Barnett, using archival data and ship documents, was able to definitively identify these wreckage as the Cotopaxi. This coal carrier, built in 1881 at a shipyard in Scotland, embarked on its final voyage in 1920. The ship disappeared during a storm in the Atlantic Ocean, and its fate remained a mystery for nearly 90 years. Barnett, studying old maritime charts, noticed that the coordinates of the wreckage matched those listed in the Cotopaxi's voyage documents. Ultimately, his work was confirmed by other researchers, including Christopher Douglas, who published an article in the journal Marine Archaeology in 2016 detailing the process of identification and its results. This discovery was a significant step in the study of maritime history and demonstrated that even decades later, technology and the persistence of researchers can unravel old mysteries. The identification of the Cotopaxi not only restored its place in history, but also opened new possibilities for studying other sunken ships in the area, underscoring the importance of archaeological research in understanding maritime heritage. The final days of the Cotopaxi were shrouded in an atmosphere of mystery and tragedy. The ship left port in December 1919, but soon encountered one of the most severe storms ever recorded in the Atlantic Ocean. Meteorologists reported wind speeds in the area exceeding 150 kilometers per hour, creating ideal conditions for the formation of massive waves over 10 meters high. These circumstances likely led to the Cotopaxi's demise. There were 38 people on board, but despite the crew's best efforts, the ship could not withstand the storm. There are numerous accounts of the sailors trying to maintain control, but their efforts were in vain. As a result, the unexpected discovery of debris in 2015 was a surprise for researchers and sailors alike, as many believed the ship would remain on the list of missing vessels forever. Although the cause of the ship's demise is now known, the story of the Cotopaxi continues to generate interest and debate. Archaeologists and historians are now not only trying to reconstruct the final days of the ship, but also actively studying the lessons that can be learned from this tragedy. For example, by analyzing how weather conditions affected maritime travel in the early 20th century, researchers can better understand the risks sailors faced at the time. The debris of the Cotopaxi not only confirmed its fate, but also opened new horizons for the study of navigation tactics and technologies used during that period. Thus, this story remains an important part of maritime history and serves as a reminder of how nature can be both a friend and a foe to humans at sea. Legacy of return. The discovery of the Cotopaxi wreckage in 2015 became a significant event in the world of underwater archaeology and maritime history. The study of these remains confirmed that even the most unsolvable mysteries of the ocean can sometimes reveal their secrets. However, the circumstances surrounding the disappearance and subsequent rediscovery of Cotopaxi after more than 90 years add a particularly eerie atmosphere to its history. The events connected to this tragedy raise many questions. Why did a ship abandoned by all suddenly become an object of interest? Archaeologists like Dr. Emily Castro from the University of Miami note that the discovery of Cotopaxi not only confirmed its fate, but also opened new horizons for the study of maritime technologies of the time. For example, the analysis of the materials used to build the ship shows that the construction technologies of the early 20th century were quite advanced and allowed for the creation of reliable vessels. However, they could not withstand the elements. A comparison of Cotopaxi with other ships that sank in the same area also allows us to draw conclusions about how maritime routes and navigation methods have changed since then. Each discovery related to Cotopaxi adds new details to the already known history, and archaeologists continue to investigate how the fate of this ship could have influenced subsequent maritime expeditions. In addition, the discovery of the wreckage sparked interest not only among researchers, but also among the general public, who are eager to learn more about the mysterious events at sea. Residents of ports where Cotopaxi once docked began to remember old legends. These stories, passed down through generations, give the discovery a special value. They testify to the fact that the sea has always been a source of inspiration and fear for people. Legends of ghost sailors wandering the waters in search of their ship now come to life in new interpretations and become part of local folklore. Thus, Cotopaxi is not just a ship that disappeared, but a symbol of many maritime stories that continue to live in people's memories. The interest in this story also underscores the importance of studying maritime disasters and their consequences for contemporary shipping. The discovery of the Cotopaxi wreckage has sparked new research aimed at preventing such tragedies in the future. Dr. Martin Lopez from the Institute of Maritime Archaeology emphasizes in his work that knowledge of the past allows us to better prepare for the challenges faced by modern sailors. This research is important not only for understanding history, but also for preserving safe maritime routes today. In the end, Cotopaxi remains an important part of maritime history, and its discovery raises questions about how we perceive disappearance and return in a world where nature remains an unpredictable partner. Each of the stories of maritime disasters, from the Mary Celeste to the Cotopaxi, offers unique mysteries that spark interest and questions. The Mary Celeste, a lost ship found in 1873, became a symbol of inexplicable disappearance when its crew vanished without a trace, leaving behind only an empty deck and unfinished business. Investigations show that the ship was found in pristine condition, with no signs of struggle or violence, adding more mysteries to this tale. Source: Journal of Maritime History, 1992. Then we move on to the Cotopaxi, whose story, as mentioned earlier, has been shrouded in an atmosphere of eeriness and unraveling for 90 years. The discovery of wreckage in 2015 confirmed the fate of this vessel and opened new horizons for studying early 20th century maritime technology, but also raised questions about how such tragedies impact navigation. Source: Dr. Emily Castro, University of Miami, 2015. Is the unexplained disappearance of crews merely a coincidence, or is there something more that connects these stories? Each of them, despite their individuality, shares common traits such as inexplicable circumstances and a tragic outcome that leaves viewers bewildered. These events are not only recorded in history, but continue to influence contemporary maritime practices and technologies, prompting researchers and sailors to question the safety at sea and the lessons that can be learned from the past. Story hidden in its depths. The ocean defies complete control and remains as unpredictable as ever, despite the immense technological and navigational advancements. Even modern ships equipped with the most advanced safety systems can encounter mysterious circumstances that challenge our understanding of the sea. For instance, in 2005, the disappearance of the liner Empress of India was attributed to a severe storm, but the exact circumstances remain unclear as to how such a powerful vessel could find itself in a situation from which it could not escape. Source: Maritime Disasters, A Global Perspective, 2018. In this context, it is worth noting the case of the ship Donald Cook, which in 2015 encountered unexplained navigation system malfunctions in the Black Sea, leaving the crew in a state of alarm and confusion. Source: Journal of Naval Science, 2016. These incidents have not only technical but also philosophical aspects. How can ships, which we consider the pinnacle of human engineering, disappear, leaving behind only vast expanses of water and enigmatic questions? These events underscore that even the most reliable systems cannot guarantee absolute safety at sea. Behind each disappearance lies not only tragedy, but also an intangible connection between humans and nature, which, as research shows, always remains a mysterious factor. Source: Professor James Walker, Marine Technology and Human Interaction. 19. Myths and legends about sea monsters and sunken ships continue to exist because they reflect the fears and uncertainties that the ocean embodies. Ultimately, the ocean is not only a resource for humanity, but also a chasm hiding unknown mysteries that can even swallow the most experienced sailors. Research shows that more than 80% of the oceans remain unexplored, opening the door to numerous theories about what might truly lie beneath the surface. Source: Ocean Exploration, The Unknown World Beneath, 2020. Therefore, despite all our efforts to explore and exploit marine spaces, the ocean remains a field of mysteries and enigmas that continue to inspire both scientists and adventure enthusiasts. What really happened in these silent waters? Does the ocean simply swallow its victims without a trace, or is there something more, something that pursues us from the depths and from the surface? The stories of vanished ships contain not only facts, but also many questions that remain unanswered. For example, in 1945, the Silver Star disappeared in the Bermuda Triangle, and its fate remains a mystery. Source: The Bermuda Triangle, Mystery Solved, 2017. In this area, known for its anomalies, over 1,000 ships and aircraft have vanished, leaving scientists baffled and prompting them to develop numerous theories, from magnetic anomalies to hypotheses about parallel dimensions. Source: Bermuda Triangle, The Definitive History, 2018. Some researchers believe that this region indeed harbors unique natural phenomena, such as underwater volcanoes capable of causing powerful waves and sinking ships. Source: Underwater Volcanoes and Their Effects, 2019. However, most of these theories remain unproven, further fueling interest in this mysterious area. Not far from the Bermuda Triangle lies another famous anomaly, La Plata, where in 1999 the Campo del Ciudad disappeared with 32 crew members on board. Source: Missing Ships of the Atlantic, 2020. According to researchers, this disappearance also became the subject of numerous speculations and theories about supernatural forces at work in this part of the ocean. Such events inspired the creation of numerous artistic works, from books to films, which continue to feed myths about sailors disappearing without a trace. Research shows that such myths often reflect human fear of the unknown and the desire to find an explanation for what defies logic. Source: Folklore and Myth in Maritime Culture, 2020. As for more extensive stories, in 1963 the Marianne disappeared in the Pacific Ocean with a cargo of rare minerals and precious stones. Source: The Lost Treasures of the Pacific, 2018. The crew of 40 people left no records of the disaster, adding to the mystery of this case. Experts in marine geology suggest that the ship may have encountered an unexplained phenomenon such as a submarine earthquake or tsunami, which could have destroyed it in minutes. Source: Earthquakes and Tsunamis, Understanding the Risks, 2019. Interestingly, even in the 21st century, searches for sunken ships like the Marianne continue, demonstrating the human fascination with solving maritime mysteries. In recent decades, technologies such as sonar and underwater drones have allowed for more effective exploration of the ocean depths than ever before. However, a study conducted in 2020 found that around 90% of the ocean remains unexplored, opening new horizons for scientific discoveries and perhaps future mysteries. Source: Ocean Exploration, Current Status and Future Directions, 2020. This indicates that even in the modern world, where we can send a person to the moon, the ocean still holds much that is unknown and beyond human comprehension. Thus, every new case of a ship or crew disappearing becomes not just a tragedy but also a part of an endless story that continues to unfold. The ocean, this vast water world, remains a battleground between humans and the forces of nature, where even the most advanced technologies cannot guarantee safety. Unlike land, where we can build walls and defenses, the sea creates its own rules, and it will always remain a mystery. Scientific research shows that human curiosity stops at the edge of the ocean, where every sunken ship becomes part of a myth and every disappearance is a question waiting for an answer. Humanity has always striven for knowledge, and this pursuit, like a double-edged sword, leads us to discoveries, but also to fear of the unknown. Throughout history, we have sought answers to questions that often remained unanswered. For example, the disappearance of the ship Campo del Ciudad in the La Plata in 1999, as mentioned earlier, illustrates how maritime tragedies inspire researchers to new searches and theoretical speculations. Source: Missing Ships of the Atlantic, 2020. People, as shown by a study conducted by the University of California in San Diego 2020, approximately 90% of the ocean remains unexplored, sparking interest not only among scientists but also among adventure enthusiasts worldwide. This fact emphasizes that even in the 21st century, ocean exploration presents a challenge that requires courage and persistence. For instance, recent discoveries of underwater volcanoes off the coast of Hawaii open new horizons for understanding the formation of marine landscapes and their impact on climate. Source: Underwater Volcanoes and Their Effects, 2019. Yet despite all our efforts, fear of the ocean persists. It is not just a vast water mass, but something more, capable of suddenly changing its rules. The case of the disappearance of the Silver Star in the Bermuda Triangle not only raises questions about the nature of this mysterious place, but also about how we perceive the dangers lurking in the depths. Source: The Bermuda Triangle. Mystery Solved, 2017. This fear and curiosity intertwine in our consciousness, creating a complex picture of human nature, striving to understand and yet fearing what lies beyond our perception. What then is the answer to the question, does the ocean indeed hold more mysteries than we can imagine?